What's going on, everyone? It's jeranism. Back again with another live viewing, ISS viewing party. This is episode number 4, if I'm not mistaken. And thank you guys for joining us for another interesting viewing party. And as always, I have with me Bob. How's it going?
Oh, not too bad. We had an unbelievable chemtrail day here in Denver, probably one of the worst I've seen in a long time. And I can't help but think that it's somehow tied to CERN firing up today, as Dave was talking about last night. But I'm curious to see what everybody else's skies were like today. And that's about it.
All right, yeah, ours is, I'm looking out my window right now, and it's still ugly. Streaks all over the place. TJ, what's going on?
Oh, not a whole lot going on. I just was working on my weather app today, so I made a bunch of progress with that, which I was pretty happy about after having to deal with that fiasco yesterday, which delayed me working on it. So, yep, that's about it right now. Just running the stream of the ISS over land, and my computer seems to be running a little slow today, maybe because I've got to free up some space on my computer. But so the video, when you see if it's just a little bit choppy, it's because of that.
Alrighty. We'll switch over to Bob's when we need to. Oh, Bob, you have yours up now?
Yeah, in fact, I think TJ and I are on the same screen, so you may want to go to the other feed, TJ. Unless you want me to, it doesn't matter.
I already went over to you, Bob.
Okay, that's fine.
So, I don't know if you want to, anybody want to watch for questions. I can pop over there in a minute also. So if anybody has any questions on anything, you can ask that. I wanted to kind of talk about just gravity because I was looking at a couple things this afternoon, and I thought I found some just interesting information that I didn't know before. And I actually think that they always change these Wikipedia pages. I know that's how they work, but substantially. It's just funny. I'm reading the ISS page right now. I mean, I'm sorry, the gravity page right now, and it says that gravity has an infinite range, which is something I just don't think I ever realized, and that it cannot be absorbed, it cannot be transformed, it cannot be blocked, it cannot be shielded. So it's a pretty impressive substance. And what is the substance? Is it a gas? Is it a liquid? We don't really know. One of the other things I thought was interesting that it says is that gravity is a force where two bodies of mass are directly drawn to each other according to a mathematical relationship, where the attractive force is proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between them. But just caught my eye is just that word mathematical in there. Again, you know, it's simply something that they can work out on paper, but not necessarily something that we experience in reality. And also it says this is considered to occur over an infinite range, such that all bodies with mass in the universe are drawn to each other, no matter how far they are apart. So that's just differently than I remember being taught. Like I said, I thought that the moon was outside of the Earth's sphere of influence, but now I find out that the furthest star in the universe is pulling on us as we are pulling on it. And it is the weakest of the 4 fundamental forces, but the only one that gets God status of can't be changed, can't be blocked, and all those fun things. So pretty crazy stuff. I thought there was one more thing that I saw that was interesting. Let's see here. Oh, it says that gravity is responsible for heating the interiors of forming stars and planets to very high temperatures. It is also responsible for solar system, galaxy, stellar formation. It is also responsible for solar system evolution and other various phenomena observed on Earth and throughout the entire universe. So it's just one of those things that they can just plug in wherever they want, takes care of any issue they're having. Just makes me laugh. It's obviously something that they can just use whenever. It does. It's as if they put God in a box and called him gravity. That's what it looks like to me. So anyway, interesting things in ISS. Let me see if anybody had any questions.
Everybody's just talking. Tim Osmond's asking me. I think he said he was in Glendale. And Glendale's not all that far from here, and he said he saw clouds all day, which is bizarre because you know, our entire sky was just thick. Cammie and I were both commenting on it. So Tim, that's very, very strange that you would not see anything, and you're maybe 10 miles as the crow flies from me. So very strange.
Yeah, these weren't clouds here in California where I was looking today. It was definitely the crisscross streaks.
Yeah, that's.
I was going to say that guy Tim Osmond. I just watched the video today of our best friend Dave Johnson, and he is trying to find the identity of this Tim Osmond because I guess Tim Osmond has been hanging out over on Dave's videos.
With the video that's not mommy, not mommy. That one.
I'm not sure. I just saw a video where he was trying to find the identity of this troll Tim Osmond and trying to ask people to help him identify this person.
Was it you, TJ, who sent me the Stephen Christ video?
Most likely it was. Yeah, I don't remember which video. Are you talking about the one he went to jail?
Yeah. So what I did, you said that he was on a live hangout with Lori Ferrari?
I don't think I said that because I don't know who that is.
You said, I got an email from you and it said it was a link to the Stephen Christ video, and then it said he and Lori and Stars Our Souls were on a hangout together. Lonnie. Whatever, Lonnie, sorry.
Yeah.
So they were on a hangout together?
Well, he was running a hangout. Lonnie wanted to get on there because Lonnie used to be a Hollow Earth guy, and I don't know if he used to follow Steven because he doesn't say the person's name that he used to follow and before he went to Flat Earth. So he wanted to get on there and do a little discussion debate with Steven. So then Steven's like, all right, fine. So Lonnie brought Stars Our Souls, and they're both on there. It was pretty useless, but yeah, they're on the hangout together.
One of the funnier things I've ever seen is it's a video between Stephen Christ and Dave J. Have you seen that one yet?
No.
Oh my God.
You got to watch it. They call each other, and it's about a 15-minute video. Basically, from the start of it, they do not stop talking, yelling at each other. Well, actually, even Christ is actually calm. You know, he's doing his, Dave, what's wrong with you, man? Why are you calling me the false Christ? So he's kind of calm, and Dave is like sitting up in the chair, just, you are a false Christ, and I will lead people away from you. And you got to watch the video. It is halfway through the video, Dave has to pull out a bong and start smoking because that's how pissed off he was.
Is that on Steve's channel or is that on?
Yeah.
Okay.
Steve's channel, and it just says the title is like polite Skype call with Dave Johnson, but it is definitely worth your 15-minute admission price.
That would be really good. I mean, the two of those guys. When was it released, Jared? Was it fairly new?
No, I want to say it was the beginning of this year, like March. I just saw it for the first time yesterday, but it's definitely, like I said, I didn't fast forward through any of it. I sat there and watched the whole thing because it was just back and forth of Steve saying, well, the Bible says this and this, that you need to listen to what I say, and Dave is just, you know how mad he was at me, and I wasn't even claiming to be Jesus. So you can picture, he was not too pleased.
That's amazing. So obviously, I'm sure you guys are aware of what happened with Joseph Clamera's account yesterday. Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw it after our show.
Yeah, that was I didn't expect that. That totally caught me by surprise. But everything's gone, not a trace of anything anymore.
Yep, I've seen all the remaining. Well, I think the only account that was left up was uh, the one of the sister, but I can't find that one anymore. So I think it's all just gone.
Now,
Yep.
one weird message I got was somebody sent me a message saying, "You didn't put his name together with the word chimera?" I'm like, no, what is that? And he says, go look it up. And I looked it up, and it's like a chimera is like a dual-headed animal, or like you hear shit like that, you're like, son of a buck.
No kidding. Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I was like, no, his name was Climera. It's like, just
It's
trying to get away
funny
from it.
because I was anagramming his name, trying to figure out if there was something. Because I have to wonder where Climera came from. I mean, if his last name's actually Townsley, and his middle name is Lee, I guess, and he goes by Lee. But so I was trying to figure out where did Climera come from. So obviously an alias that was made up that had some hidden meaning to it.
Yeah, I guess a chimera, I looked it up, was it's like a Greek mythology, two-headed, fire-breathing beast or something. Pretty funny.
So what do we got going on today? We got we got the view that I have of the ISS. That's kind of interesting. I'm looking at these little things on the end of the model right here, and these I don't think I've seen before, but these little guys right down here look like connectors called little PL259 connectors, and then I think this right here is like another little itty bitty satellite dish. So this stuff looks totally like little bitty model stuff, something out of Lego or something. I just kind of noticed that. That's amazing.
To me, the more I look at this, I see it as a cylinder. Did you see that email I sent you, Bob, from that girl that keeps emailing me?
I did, and her math was atrocious. I mean, it wasn't even close. She was, she was coming up with completely wrong figures. She was giving examples of diameter when she should have been using radius.
Yeah, it was hard for me to. I responded like 3 times, and this time she had actually asked for you because I kept telling her she's taking the distance to the horizon, then just drawing a circle from there and saying that's the top. I said, well, that would be if we were on a cylinder. Like I said, there's more globe below the curvature if we're on a globe. So, but I did think it was interesting in that I started thinking about this view that we're looking at here. It's not what you would see on a ball. Even that view that we're looking at appears to me to be a flat disc circle. So just the more I look at it, the more I see that.
Yeah, well, I think
this mirror.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Oh no, I was saying I wanted to look through a mirror. I was reading something today about. I was reading an older book about the flat Earth, and there was a test that they did where a guy took a mirror and turned it to face the ocean, and I guess that how you can sometimes, if you're at the ocean, people might say they see it bending.
Mm-hmm.
Because your eyes, the way they work, the outside of your eyes are going to bring things into your view. Well, by looking at a mirror, supposedly, like if you hold up a mirror and look behind you and look at the ocean, supposedly there's absolutely no curve. So I was just grabbing my mirror to look at the ISS tonight with it. But go ahead.
Well, I wanted to ask you both of you about something based on we're talking about the view of the Earth, and I was having a discussion on Lonnie and Stars or Souls was on Patricia's. They did a hangout the other day, and so I made a comment to him because he said that the amateur rocket that went up 73 miles, and then he says, I know that the Earth is flat because I've seen the ice ring, because in one of the videos of that 73-mile high amateur rocket, you can see the ice ring all the way around. And I was saying...
You've seen that video?
I've seen the video, but I didn't see the ice ring because I told him, I was like, well, I don't see the ice ring. For one, you're only at 73 miles high. For you to be able to see, if you're in dead center, and let's just say diameter might be 8,000, or the radius might be 8,000 on the flat Earth, 8,000 miles. I mean, that's pretty far to be able to see the ice ring that goes all the way around. And he was telling me, no, that you can see it.
Well, what is the equation? Again, I asked you this last time. What is the equation to see how far you can see? Is it? I thought it used to. Is it 1.2 or? I almost think you can take half of the feet, if I remember right. So, for instance, if I'm 6 foot tall on a 6 foot ladder, which would be 12 feet, you can just half that, and you can see 6 miles to the horizon. I know that seems really simple, but do you have the math on that, TJ? I used it in one of my earlier videos. I need to find what that is. It's like 3 times this week I've been killing myself over not having that.
I think it's a little further than that. I mean, because that seems awfully, because just standing just standing on the shore, you can see much further, I think, than 6 miles.
No, I think it's 3.5.
Well,
Is it really?
It's supposed to be 3 miles for 6 feet.
For a 6 foot tall person. There's an equation, though. I'll find it real quick.
I mean, I've got a calculator that does it. I didn't remember. I mean, I can look it up.
Okay, and excuse me, I was thinking real life. You guys are talking about if we were living on a globe. That's what it was supposed to be, right?
I always have to preface that with myself.
Because
I can see a lot further than 3 miles, dude.
I mean, the horizon for 73 miles is 763 miles. So and I was doing rough. I was like, let's just give it 1,000 miles. So let's say 73 miles up, you can see out 1,000 miles. Then what he is saying is that from where that was shot up to basically a radius was 1,000 miles around. I mean,
look how ugly that Earth looks right now.
Yeah, it looks pretty bad. So there's a question in the chat that I wanted to address. Well, there's a couple of them. One is Truthfinder 55 Main. He says, "Hey, Jaron, did you check out ISS number 3 time slot 215?" And I believe if that's the one that you asked me about, Truthfinder 55. When we were sitting there looking at one of the scenes of the ISS, we all of us, completely missed this interesting-looking structure that was on the left side that looked almost like an arm wearing an oven mitt. That's kind of what it looked like initially. Yeah. And so, but I looked at it a little closer, and what it appeared to me to be was a diver with some sort of apparatus, sticking out of his mouth, and then you could see the bubbles, and you could see his face mask on and everything like that. So yeah, he pointed that out to me, and I looked at that and I went, unbelievable. But I think it was a diver that was actually in the pool with the shot of the Earth background, kind of like the one where they dropped the tool bag that is now apparently orbiting the Earth. But yeah, that was a good one. That was a good catch on that, because none of us saw it, and it completely blew me away. But it's in the comments of last week's show that he pointed it out, and then I wrote him back and said, yeah, I see 3 things. One was a high heel. One was what I just described. And it was just crazy that that we missed it. It was just so obvious, but we just completely glazed over it.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out. I did not see that. We just missed it.
Yeah, well, that's like the guys out in the chat room are actually looking at this, I think, sometimes closer than we are, or they just catch some stuff.
Well, we're always bouncing around and trying to find links and doing. They're having to watch the screen.
Yeah, exactly. Because some of the stuff that we missed that one time was, of course, the beam of light shining down on the square eye that was just so blatantly there. I still can't believe we missed that.
So it looks like the formula is distance in miles will equal 1.22 times the square of the height. So, for instance, a U-2 plane at 70,000 feet, the horizon will be at 324 miles. So, kind of making sure I understand this here.
How many feet?
At 70,000 feet, it's 324 miles, so I'm trying to figure out how to plug in. You said it was at 72 miles?
Yeah, 73.
Yeah, so that's 385,440. 385,440. So it's distance in miles equals 1.22 times, okay. 0.22.
Yeah, let's see. I'm going to do another one while you're calculating that. Okay, Incognito says, I'm curious how Jaren, TJ, etc., other people's experience with their own families' reaction to any of this info had bad attempts been made to share. Okay, well, I think for me personally, my family is so used to me now coming up with stuff that's seemingly completely freaking off the wall that they just kind of go with it because, I first started out with 9/11, my observations about 9/11, and my dad and I'll never forget this, we actually got into this big argument over the breakfast table because we all go to breakfast every Saturday, and he and I were just sitting there arguing. He was telling me how preposterous it was that could have possibly been planned out. And of course, after a while, he came around 100% and saw it, for what it was. And of course, my dad is now gone for a few years, and my sisters, who have been, watching me go through this stuff, the day that they came over and I hit them, with I was always letting them know what my research was, and I said, you know what, I finally figured out why NASA fakes everything, because I had been looking into that for months. And they're like, what is it? And I pulled up a flat Earth map, and I said, because the world is flat. And they just kind of looked at me and like, okay, but they were completely open-minded to it, and now, they're pretty much seeing the reality of it.
Man. I mean, me personally, haven't told many. My parents have heard and kind of passed me off as whatever. Do what you want to do. And my sister does not know, believe it or not. Just something I have not brought up with her, but it's pretty much everyone else knows. I did have few little bad experiences with friends, but they kind of came along, and I'm not saying that they believe it. Most of them describe themselves as skeptical. And it just goes back to, I understand that people don't want to be considered dumb. It's just, that's the whole thing, is that they know that once you've taken that step that you might get called that, and I'm not going to tell you you won't, because you will. But I also will tell you that if you care about that kind of stuff, then you're always going to be just believing in men and what they say and what they tell you to say, and then you might as well be a parrot or a monkey, because it's so much more important to be true to yourself. And if you're not allowing yourself to look into the possibility, then there's issues. So I will say flat out that if the person you're going to tell doesn't believe that the moon landings were hoaxed, well, I think you need to start there. I really don't think there's any real reason to. If somebody still thinks we went to the moon, I probably wouldn't start with the flat Earth. I would try and get them to really do the research on the moon. One thing that kind of hit me recently, the last couple of days, if we ever went to the moon, you can bet that the ISS would be on the moon. There's no reason why we would have a space station rotating the Earth, which is very dangerous for the people inside of it. It could fall into the Earth's atmosphere. It could get hit by satellites. It could get hit by micrometeoroids, all these things. If we could go to the moon, we'd have a base on the moon, and that's where we would conduct our experiments. It wouldn't be in this flying apparatus going 17,000 miles per hour around the Earth. It's just one of those things that we just forget to look at sometimes. It just makes no sense.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily come straight out and hit people directly with flat Earth. In fact, I've been having some dental work done over the past few months, and my dentist happened to mention something about how 9/11 was a complete hoax, and I'm like, oh, conspiracy theorists, all right. So I showed him the little globe demonstration, and I said, I don't really want to tell you exactly, where my research has wound up, but I showed him the little globe demonstration where, 6 months later, when you're on the other side of the Earth, the sun is behind you. You guys know which one I'm talking about. But he was intrigued by that, and then I sent him a couple other NASA videos that showed them faking stuff. And so the next time I came back, he's like, "Oh man, what else? What else do you know?" So I started telling him some other stuff in Sandy Hook, and I really was still really hesitant to say, well, I'm looking at the flat Earth. So at this point, for all I know, he may even be watching the show at this point. But I said, okay, well, I'll tell you what, we're doing the show on Monday and Tuesday nights. I gave him the link, the channel, your jeranism channel. And so I'm really kind of curious. Next time I go back to the dentist's office, he's either going to throw me out or what. But yeah, I mean, he's a pretty cool guy and everything. So and he seems to have a very open mind. So we'll just kind of see how that goes. But other than that, the only other place that I've mentioned it is to my customers. And ironically, one of the customers that I service here in Denver is a place that takes in donations for lots of churches worldwide and stuff. So they're all pretty, heavily religious. And I just kind of came right out and threw it out there. I said, the Bible was right about, its description about the creation and the world is flat and it's established and it's not moving. And they all just kind of looked at me like,
Isn't it funny that religions even bought into the science story? It's so funny to me.
I know.
This view here, just real quick on the ISS, is completely impossible. That shadow would be moving so much faster. And then on top of that, if you watched my first edition of Global, and the way I described the distance that the ISS is from the Earth is so a tiny amount in the large scheme of things, there's no way the sun can be illuminating it this long. It's just not going to get the brightness of the sun, and you just see that shadow is moving so slowly.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. At that altitude, that far away, there's no way that it would be going down at what we would perceive it as here on the face of the planet plane. It would be moving a lot quicker than that, for sure. And it's just sitting there. It's just absolutely stable. And then pretty soon it'll just all of a sudden go zip, So I don't know what kind of dynamics are going on up there supposedly, but I'm not buying this one.
Yeah, I should be done with my video hopefully tonight or tomorrow, the one with the Google Loon. I think I called it yesterday Loom, and it's Loon, Google Loon.
As in Looney Tune, huh?
Yeah, Looney Tune. But it's just a big balloon that's going to float up in the atmosphere and provide internet access. It's really hilarious. But I did think of a couple other little proofs that we don't live on a ball, and I'll throw those out there right now, and you guys can fire back if it makes sense or not. But maybe you remember me talking about being on a train?
Yes.
And how when you're running in the direction of the train versus running in the, towards the back. And if you were to do the same thing on Earth, so if everyone went outside right now and started running due east in the direction of the spin of the Earth, it should be much, much easier for you to run east than if you turned around and ran west. And just a simple proof. It gets rid of the idea of them being able to tell you, well, no, because you're the atmosphere. No, because you're actually on the Earth. The Earth is moving in that direction. If you think of a people mover at an airport, which I'm sure you've all had the fun of running on a people mover or walking,
yep.
And since the ground is moving in one direction, you feel like you're flying. You're walking and you're taking normal steps, but you are significantly moving easier than if you turn around and walk the other way on the people mover. And think about that on Earth. It's just, there's no explanation that anybody can give you. There's no way they can tell you about the atmosphere, gravity, or it's just simple lies.
Yeah.
So.
It's funny that you mentioned that because, the people mover, As you guys know, I work out at DIA a lot because they're one of my customers. And I was there, I don't know, a few months back, and I was working super late because I was working on this large project, and so I was there almost till like 4 a.m. So I was going in between the terminals, and I was walking down one of the concourses. I think it was Concourse B or something like that. And of course, there's hardly anybody there that time of night, so I decided that I would just go running down the people mover the opposite way. And it's amazing how much harder it is, working against that, versus when you're actually on it going the correct direction. And you actually do. I mean, obviously you're going to get there slower, but the way that you feel the actual pull and everything on it, you absolutely do feel that motion in the other direction pretty strongly. Just like you were saying with the train. And when you said that, it's like, wow, that doesn't seem like that would actually be the way it is. But then I remember running it, backwards on that people mover, and you're exactly right. You can totally feel it.
And I'm not saying either that it would be so noticeable, but believe me, if you're having a race or you're going to run a certain direction, you would definitely feel the difference. It's the same thing as if you went outside and stood facing north right now and just stood there for 15 minutes and then turned and faced south. You would absolutely feel the difference.
Yeah.
Because in one way you are being moved along with the earth to the right if you're facing north, and then to turn around, that is going to be a complete shift of your momentum, of your I guess you would even call that centrifugal force. It's just your momentum is going to go the other way. It would be completely noticeable, and this is the one thing that don't like to call people liars, but I really do think anybody who just passes off we're spinning, you don't feel like you're spinning, and you've never felt like you're spinning, and you questioned it as a kid. It's just something that you eventually bought into because it is the status quo. And I think that's one of those things that can help wake people up, is that you trust in men. If you think you're spinning, you're simply taking somebody's word for it with zero evidence and saying, okay, we spin. So,
yeah, agreed. So in the comments, this is interesting. Josh Ketchum says, I think we landed on the moon, and I think it's much closer and easier than anyone believes. Well, Josh, I know what you're saying, because I've thought about that too. It's like if the moon is really only 3,000 miles above us, and if it is actually tangible, if it's actually there, and not necessarily behind the firmament, which I think it may be, behind some sort of shielding like the firmament, because as I was, talking earlier last week when I was reading Genesis and other books of the Bible, the firmament is described as this as an area that seems to have a division between the waters above and the waters below, and it kind of infers that there's this open space, and that's where the sun and the moon are. So theoretically, if the moon is tangible and if it's 32 miles across, even like we're calculating, you have to wonder, it's like, well, maybe somehow they might have gotten up there, but I don't know. But it is a thought. It's an interesting thought.
Well, I'll tell you why I say no. Because,
well, I agree with that too. But
well, in order to go to the moon, that would mean that gravity needs to exist, because if it can't be flat here and then you go there, you would have to get on the top of the moon. You couldn't be on the face of it, or else you'd be sideways. And again, well, I mean, another simple thing that I thought about, remember that when they were on the moon, Apollo 11 and 12 and 14 and all those, the pictures that they took of Earth, the Earth is above them in the sky. But when we're on Earth, the moon is above us in the sky. Again, somebody can tell me all the crazy ball and crazy gravity things they want to tell me, and I'll simply say, then you can live there in La La Land, and I'll stay here in reality.
Right. Yeah, and not only that, I mean, the more I look at it, I tend to think that it's a flat face looking, down on us, and the reason I say that is because of the different views and the different aspects that you get from different places of the world. People will say, well, how come, it's flipped over? And you can do a really simple experiment. In fact, we have one of those clocks that projects the time on the ceiling, and we actually have it like sitting over on our little refrigerator in our bedroom, and it projects up the time up, pretty much straight up above the bed on the ceiling. And of course, if I'm in bed, it's just slightly in front of me, and it appears right side up. All I have to do is get out of bed and move, 5 feet to the other side of it, and of course, it appears upside down. And of course, the projection of it is pointing straight down at the bed. So, you think about that, and it's like, well, okay, so that must be what the moon is like. And no matter where you go in the room, you'll get those different, vertical orientations, but it's still pointing straight down, and you can still see it pretty much wherever we're in the bedroom. So I kind of look at the moon that way too.
Bob, do you follow the Homeschool Family Northern Ireland? I don't know if you've ever seen his YouTube.
I have. In fact, he asked me a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to bring this up, and I still haven't responded to him. So hopefully, if they're in the chat, that would be great. And I'll say what I was going to say, but go ahead and say what you were going to say.
I was just going to ask if you saw his video on the moon.
I did, and
okay.
The thing, and let me answer that. He's using this coffee cup analogy, saying that the one face is flat, and then he's saying.
Want me to throw you the links, and since we're on the night side, I'm sure he wouldn't mind as far as copyright or whatever.
Oh, sure. Yeah, go ahead and throw it in here.
Pass it to you. There you go.
All right. All right, so let's go to what he's saying here. And first thing I have to say is, I appreciate that he's looking at this stuff, and I think everybody should be doing this. I don't necessarily agree with his conclusions, because what he's saying is that this is the back part of the moon, and we're seeing the full moon. I'm sorry, this would be the front part of the moon, and we're seeing the full moon and the light hitting it. But the problem is he's saying that when the moon goes into different phases, his analogy of that is turning the coffee cup to the side. And granted, it looks like that, but I think what he's failing to take into consideration in this video is if you look at the features of the moon itself, they're not turning away. In other words, when there's a certain phase of the moon, say this portion of it right here is only showing, it's not rotating around out of the way. No matter what the phase is, this face is still there. Whether it's half moon, you'll still see these markings on this side. If it's a quarter moon, you're still going to see this here. And that's the one thing that he didn't take into account, was that you're actually still seeing the same face.
Right, and I think the thing for me, number one, I love that people are doing experiments like this and really searching into it. It's awesome. But I hadn't messaged him yet, but if you guys remember 2 weeks ago, or I think it was 2 weeks ago, I've kind of learned how to take pictures of the moon when it is in its phases, and I can see the whole moon. So there is no chance that, say, for instance, on the left side there, if I took a picture of that moon that he's got on the screen with a slow lens or shutter rate, I would see the remainder of it on the left side. So
right.
Something I was going to message him and say that it's something I've been getting better at. I've been trying to be, I want to really be able to take some cool pictures of the eclipse. So I like the experiment. I love that he's doing it. That's awesome. And he even says in the video, too, something to the effect of, I'm not saying that it's this. I'm not saying that I know how it's up there or how it moves around. Or he's just saying this is just an observation that I've made. And I love it because I think if everybody was doing tests like that, all of us might see something, since I also always look at the moon. Maybe one day I'm going to stumble upon a video that's going to be that aha moment for me. This one wasn't, because as I watched it, like I said, it doesn't explain why, even when the moon's just a small crescent, I can take a photo of it and actually see the entire, I'm going to call it a disk. But I just wanted to bring it up that he's doing a cool experiment, and I didn't know if Bob had seen that. Kind of sounds like when Bob started to describe the moon right now that he was describing what was seen here. But
yeah.
So Bob saw the same thing I saw as far as when I take a picture, I see the features in the black part of the moon. So he describes it there interestingly by saying it's invisible. It certainly looks like it. But like I said, when I take that photo, you know what? I'm going to go back on that. I have not yet taken a photo of the moon during the day. So I want to make sure I don't say that I have. I've taken a picture of the moon at night many times with the slow frame rate, and I'm getting the entire image of the moon, but I've never done that during the day.
Right. And me personally, when I look at the moon here in Colorado, and he says in his video, he goes, when I look at this, you can't see anything. It's just black. And of course, what he's showing there is how that would appear. He's saying the back of it's flat and black and not lit, and you can't see anything at all. Now in Colorado, it may be simply because of our elevation here, but I can get out my Meade 10-inch telescope and I can look at the moon and I can scan over on that black area and I can definitely see stuff there, through the telescope that would normally appear just black. So, and I also noticed the same thing when I was using the Nikon the other night. My new Coolpix P900, I had it zoomed way in on the moon, and I could still see stuff in the black part of the moon to some degree. I mean, not entirely by any means, but much more than what he appears to be seeing there.
That'd be interesting if it was because of elevation. It would certainly tell you something about its distance, huh?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I totally agree. Well, we get some pretty awesome shots of the moon sometimes here, but I'm sure that's true for a lot of places around the world. It's not just Colorado. But yeah, I love this. I love his analogy of this, and I totally encourage them to keep watching the moon, especially over the next few days here. I think both of you probably are aware of Crow 777's predictions that this will be the week that has the highest probability of seeing the what do they call that? What's he calling it? The
lunar wave?
The lunar wave, that's right, yeah. I kind of attribute it to what I call a humbar. A humbar is like something when you have a bad ground on a television signal coming in, you'll see this like little AC bar goes zzz, right from the top to the bottom of the screen. And that's kind of what it looks like on the moon. Yeah, so this would be a good week to do that. And I'm actually, after we get off the call tonight, I'm going to go outside with the Nikon and shoot some video and see if I see something like that.
Are you trying to make us all jealous or what?
Ha ha ha!
That's just rude. I used to feel good about my camera. Now I'm like watching the videos of your 900, imagining, oh, I wish I had that zoom.
When you get a chance, Bob, check out those Crow lunar wave debunk videos I sent you.
Yeah, I saw that today.
He doesn't. I don't think he gives like conclusive proof, but he gives some things that could be happening with the moon creating the lunar wave.
Yeah,
I think I sent one a while back too. I'm not sure. It was just something I ran into that did the same thing on my computer screen, which was just weird. But I've never seen the lunar wave in person, but I've seen what looks like either smoke or the moon is melting, or I know a lot of people chalk that up to chemtrails being in front or just a dirty sky, but Miss and I have seen it 4 or 5 times. It certainly looks as if the moon is letting off smoke or steam, but again, we wouldn't be able to see. Most of the time when we see that, it's early in the morning, and if the skies were filled with some sort of chemtrail or some sort of covering, that we wouldn't be able to see where it was coming from. So, but yeah, I have that video up on my channel. So.
Yeah, well, you also, you shot that one video, or Missa did, I guess, where you were looking at it, wondering what all the, stuff, the mist around it was, and I think I responded to you that I believe that it was just the particulates of the chemtrails, and
right.
I still think that that has a lot to do with it. Some of the effects that we actually see in the night sky and the day sky, because it's they definitely seem to cause some very interesting optical effects.
Yeah, and I just was, if you really, I was watching that video again, and when you zoom in, at least from my video editing software, I never see, you think because if the moon is giving off light So I kept checking to see if any of the smoke ever came off the moon, as far as you just saw it a little bit, so I could say, oh, that's in the sky, and I couldn't find it. So, but we're always taking pictures and learning more, and I think one of the biggest things for me is learning how to use the camera. Has been unbelievable. Unfortunately, it is kind of a trial and error, hit and miss kind of thing, but I think it's so important that people know how to shoot. If they're going to take pictures of the moon, that they know how, and I've looked up about as far as frame rates and shutter speed, and because you'll be shocked at some of the pictures you can get if you have the settings right.
Yeah, absolutely true. You know, it's funny because I haven't had the Nikon very long, and I was out the other night shooting video on some still shots, and of course the first thing I noticed is that my tripod sucks because when you have a camera that zooms in to the level that thing does, and I was trying to basically, just make minute adjustments for the moon moving, because when I have that thing zoomed all the way into the moon, it just takes just breathing on it just a little bit, and when you have a cheesy tripod that's entirely friction based and not like on ball bearings or anything like that, I try and move it and it'll kind of grab, and then it'll move and it'll jump all over the place, and then I have to zoom back out because I've lost the moon. And so yeah, the first thing I'm definitely going to do is get a better tripod for it. But it's interesting, some of the the effects that Crow gets, and other people have also gotten that I've seen in YouTube videos about that the lunar wave or the hum bar. A lot of people are saying that that's the camera, and I don't see how that can be. Especially, well, for several reasons, but I just don't see how that possibly can be. But yet, I also have heard the idea that it's some sort of a projection, and I certainly can't, say that that's wrong. But if it was, it would seem like, that would almost be a logical thing, that maybe in the projection of it, they're having some sort of hum bar, if you will, like our technical thing. Or I think another thing that it could be is, as I've stated before, I believe that the sun and the moon are going back around on a magnetic track, electromagnetic, and I think possibly as the moon transits some of those nodal points, we would actually see maybe that phase, that bar go up the moon, and also from side to side. And that also makes sense because you see both orientations in those lunar waves. You see them go vertically and horizontally. And if you look at my little icon with the flower of life on it, those are actually representative, what I believe, of the magnetic field that's going on up there. So as the moon is traversing that, I think that we're seeing those particular waves of that flower kind of traverse the moon. So that's kind of a crazy explanation, but hey. Never hurts to use your imagination on this stuff, I think.
Have you you played with this site, Bob, the Gigapan?
Yeah, I have. The first time I saw that was several months ago, and it wasn't from this perspective, but it was a shot that somebody took down into a crowd that was somewhere, and there was like thousands and thousands of people, and it was unreal because you could zoom on to somebody, seemingly a mile way back. I can't believe it. Yeah, and you can see their face perfectly. It's crazy.
Have you seen? What are these, Bob? I was going to ask you. I'm going down on the mast on top of the One World Trade Center. What are these black boxes?
Those either
they look like lights.
Look like some sort of lights or solar collectors or.
Yeah, they didn't look like lights to me. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, they're like honeycomb pattern.
They look like LED lights.
It's just weird that you wouldn't put lights you wouldn't think underneath other lights.
Well, no, yeah, you're right. You wouldn't think that you would. And I noticed that they also seem to have like the I/O symbol on them.
Yep.
And that's interesting.
What is that symbol?
Well, I/O can mean many things. It can mean like an on-off switch. Most electronic components you see have that. And there's also another video That one that I sent you, in fact, it kind of goes into showing the IO and CD, and it can also be representative of the sun and the moon. So, yeah, it's
pretty
look how
crazy.
flat that is, just going straight out. Don't even look at the horizon, just go
I know.
straight to the
I was
horizon.
actually trying to see. Watch this over here. You can actually see. Is this where the land is, or is that the water? Spin around a little more. Yeah, right. When you line this thing up, it's like, and then you can zoom in this way and look at these mountains over here. That is crazy. There's like a tower on one of these mountains that I can see sometimes. I'm like, what is that? Wish I knew what that was.
It looks like a high rise.
I mean, I wonder how far that is. It's so hard to tell because on these, see, like these buildings back here, it's so hard to tell because it's hard to get your directions down because it's a 360 photo. Even if you zoom, look at those smokestacks.
Look at all the water towers too. The water towers are everywhere.
So how high up is that thing?
1776 would be at the very top, but you're not at the top though. You're close.
Yeah, 1,700 feet or so.
Yeah.
Well, you should only be able to see out 51 miles to the ground level.
From that high?
From 1,776 feet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so to the ground level, you should be able to see 51 miles out.
Is that based on a sphere or just flat out horizon? Sphere, okay, yeah, everything seems to be calculated for that. You know, it's funny because a buddy of mine's, one of the guys that I've been kind of introducing to the flat Earth was here the other day, and he said something to the effect of when they were on the ship, he was in the Navy, he was a chief petty officer, and he said that they would always drill into their head that, I believe it was, gosh, and I know I'm going to get this wrong, but he said that the Navy always told them that the horizon was like 23 miles away from, the shipboard, which I thought was amazing because that in itself would have put it significantly over the curve. But he goes, yeah, I remember that clearly, and he was in the Navy for 30 years talking about that. Just, interesting.
Yeah, I've also gotten a couple emails regarding satellites from military guys who said that they were, what are the satellites that have to be pointed right at the other one? I forgot what they're called. But they said they used to do those 60 miles, which he just emailed me to say, we did this all the time, and I've just now found out that with the curvature of the Earth, it should have never happened. Oh,
no, they're not, it wouldn't be satellites. He's talking about what I used to do. That's terrestrial microwave.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah, and we've all seen those out in the plains. You have the great big, huge towers with the great big. Some of them, like AT&T, uses those really large conical-shaped antennas. The ones that I worked on were the round Andrews dishes, and I don't know. I'd say the diameter of them was probably about 15 feet across, something like that. But yeah, and that's exactly the thing that I said, that we did the calculations for those sites all the time, and not once did we ever allow for the curvature of the Earth. The only thing that we had to take into consideration was that both the primary antenna and the redundant antenna had to be within, I think, what they call it was called a Fresnel zone, and that is to be able to allow for the natural refraction of the microwave signal bending down as it goes from site to site. But pretty much other than that, I never thought about it because we always tried to get it at the very highest part of the land. And so I just thought, oh, well, okay, you're going to be able to always see it. And not once did I ever consider the curvature of the Earth, and nor was it ever calculated either.
Now, I don't know if you guys will be able to see if it'll translate, but this will be a live lunar wave. You ready? If you just pull these things down, you get I don't know if you can see that, but when you do this on this Gigapan site, because of it's the same thing. I see
yeah, we're not really seeing it. Yeah, we're not really seeing it. Yeah, but I know what you're talking about.
It's just the refresh rate of the computer. So, but I agree with you. I don't think it's the camera. I don't think it can be. I've never seen my camera not be able to render what's going on.
Yeah, and not only that, when I talk about hum bars, that's usually a component that happens when you are around a strong AC electromagnetic field. because the hum bar actually will just kind of slowly creep up the TV screen. I'm sure you've all seen it on especially in the older TVs. It doesn't happen so much now with the HDs, but back before they took the VHF channels off the air, you would see that quite often, and even in the old cable, especially on the old cable TV, you would see those little AC bars creeping up your screen, and sometimes they were really bad, and sometimes they were very faint. But that's what I'm talking about when I talk about hum bars. And so, to me, there has to be either some AC component in it, or I think probably the electromagnetic points on the Earth is as the moon is traversing them. That's what we're seeing. So it looks like the ISS is about halfway through its dark spot.
Almost there?
No, well, not really. It's about halfway, so I'd say another, I don't know, 20 minutes or so. It's going to be a little bit.
I'll look at I always like to look at the Mars pictures. It's always funny.
Yeah.
Because I know they ain't there.
Yep.
And
so,
interesting.
Yep. So, did you look at that? I assume you watched that again after you and I talked that night. The Flat Earth and You, Signs, Symbols, and Mythology, Jaron?
Oh yeah, I did watch it. I mean, it's a great video. I like that it covers so much.
Yeah, it does, and as you pointed out, it's not something that's for beginners, because what this guy is saying is that unless you understand a lot of the archetypes and sigils that are used to describe our world around us, you really don't. It makes it a lot harder to understand. I mean, he kind of, one part in there says that you really won't understand anything without understanding that, and I agree with that on some level, but not entirely. But it goes into not only the magnetics of the Earth and the Sun and the Moon, and how the mechanism of this entire place that we live at would work, but he also shows it in chemical makeup of things, especially salt. He talks about sodium chloride, and you look at structures in molecules of certain things that we have. But that, and we'll show this here in just a little bit for you guys.
Look at this clearing here, Bob.
Okay.
Like a road on Mars or something.
Oh, is this supposed to be Mars?
It's Mars.
Yeah. New Mexico, or?
Yeah, exactly. Chile.
Yeah, it would crack me up if they. Yeah. Yeah.
Look at this. Oh, jokers.
I know, and everything's red.
Change right here, like this would just change like this.
Yeah. Did you ever see the one video of the rover that has a color spectrum chart on the top of it, and everything around it is red, and then they had the color alignment chart on the top of the rover, and a lot of people would take and look at that, and then they would correct the color so that the color chart turned out proper.
Oh God!
And when they did that, everything was blue skies, and it looked just like Earth.
Oh man!
They really blew it on that one.
Oh, I saw Red's Rhetoric put out a video today, and he was being rude to somebody. It was some guy who was explaining mathematically, doing some math. Nice sounding guy, and Red was just tearing him a new one, not challenging his math so much as just saying you're an idiot, this and that. But he actually put up. Do I have the image? He actually put up this image that was absolutely a joke. You know how we've seen the Fata Morganas before?
Uh-huh.
He does one where you'll just lose your mind on this one. I'll have to send. Oh, actually, we'll go back to you and then I'll find it. But basically, he has one that the boat is 50 feet in the air, maybe 100 feet, and he's like using it as if it's real or something. It is really. I know when I do that, I always have problems. There we go. So back over to you. There you
go. Okay. Let's see. Are we on my screen now? Yes.
I think so.
Okay.
Present to everyone. No, we're not. Okay, now we are.
Okay. All right. So anyway, yeah, I kind of want to go through these and highlight them just a little bit on some of the stuff that's going on while we're waiting for the ISS to come back online. And let's see. First one, TJ actually sent this one over to me. and I thought it was pretty amazing. It's called Flat Earth and the Horizon. Oh, speaking of which, Darren, I thought I'd remind you, you never did post those links in our show last night that you were going to.
You know why? It's because I closed the thing before I grabbed them all. I couldn't even get back in there to get them. Like,
Oh,
learn my lesson. So now in the future, I'm going to have to grab. I did post a few links because I just looked at allegedly Dave, and made sure I have both their links in there.
right.
But now I know, once I close that Google Hangout, I lose everything, the whole chat that we had and everything. So I learn something new every day.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can also put it in a comment, I suppose, at some point, and then chances are it'll get thumbs up to the point where it, it'll actually at least go towards the top of the comments, and people will be able to see it. But anyway, okay. So.
Hold on, now I lost you. What did you say? Are you talking about the links that you guys all dropped me last night in the Hangout?
Some of them, and also some of the stuff that we were talking about. Remember, we were talking about how we needed to really, keep track of the links and some of the stuff
No,
we were
I know,
talking
but
about.
yeah, and I was gonna grab them all from the Hangout, but when we were done talking last night, and I closed it. I lose all that stuff that we were talking about.
Oh, I actually have those, because what I do as soon as I
Perfect.
see them in the Hangout is I will open them, and then it'll keep it in my history. So.
Oh, perfect.
Or in my YouTube, watch list, or watch history. So.
Maybe
Yeah.
email me after the show and just, either separate this tonight and yesterday, and I'll pop them in.
Right. Okay.
Thanks, bud.
Very good. So anyway, back to the video that I was talking about, and this is really outstanding. It's called Flat Earth and the Horizon by a guy named Rob Durham. I've never had heard of him before. TJ actually sent this link over, and what he does is he's apparently got a helicopter license, a pilot license, and he gives a breakdown a little bit about the helicopter that he flies and some of the instrumentation in it. And it's pretty cool because he uses the AutoCAD program, which of course is extremely precise because it's used for building buildings and doing all kinds of engineering stuff like that. But he shows in here the different angles that you would actually be at, the higher up that you go, in order to keep the nose aimed at the horizon of a ball Earth, right? Now, I've said before, I'm a fixed-wing pilot, and all we ever have to rely on is what's called an artificial horizon instrument, which is nothing more essentially than a level, and it just keeps the airplane in a level orientation, and you just fly and adjust your trim, and you never have to worry about anything other than that. Well, the helicopter is similar, except you have your blade pitch in the top and your collective, and so it flies in a little bit different orientation than an airplane, but the principle is still basically the same, what he's showing. So what he's showing here in these little charts, let me make this a little bigger, is he's saying that this right here is the curvature of the Earth, and he's got these calculated right down to a gnat's ass. I mean, he's got it nailed right on. And he's saying that if the Earth is actually curved, in order to keep your horizon within view, the higher you go, the more that you actually have to tilt the nose of the helicopter, or airplane in this case, down to keep it at the horizon. And remember, we talked about that. I think you said between, was it Denver and Hawaii, or was it between California and Hawaii, had a 700 and some odd mile curvature?
California and Hawaii.
California and Hawaii, okay. So, and this would be illustrating that very same thing. So if that was true, you would have to be flying at these inclinations towards the horizon. And of course, the higher you get, the more ridiculous it actually would be. And he actually does this with the math. This is not out of scale. This is absolutely to scale, what he's showing. And I thought it was brilliant because, the fact is neither airplanes or helicopters actually fly in this orientation to keep, our noses straight and level with the horizon. So, and he does it. He shows all the math, goes into great detail. It's a fantastic video. I'd highly recommend it. And between that and something that somebody mentioned to me in the chat or in the comments section, I started thinking about that, and it's like, there's also something else about that that occurred to me, and that is when you are flying an airplane. Okay, uh, all of the distances, from point to point on Google Earth, appear to be calculated, at the surface. Now, since it's Google Earth, you would assume that they're taking that curvature into account when they calculate these distances. So I thought, well, all right. So then, if the Earth is a ball, that would mean that at higher and higher flight levels, the higher you go, you're actually increasing the circumference of your flight route. So if I'm flying at 40,000 feet, basically that's going to be increasing at what, about 6 miles, 6 miles up, which would, and you do your calculations, that's going to actually increase the diameter calculation by 12 miles. So you go 6 miles up, increasing the radius on that side, which would mean then that the distance that you're flying when you're at 40,000 feet would be considerably further than the distance you would be flying if you were, like, say, 500 foot above the ground, or right at ground level. And so, I talked to TJ about it. I think he's going to do a video as soon as we get all the math worked out with it. And we both wish we knew how to use AutoCAD. This would be great. So if anybody is out there that wants to do this or help us, this would be great. But the premise is say we're going to take the ground level calculation, and we're going to say, okay, so California to Hawaii is going to be, roughly, what, 2,000 miles? Is that about right, Jaron? A little over?
2,500.
Is 2,500? Okay, something like that. And then you have to, and then if you go up 6 miles in elevation and you recalculate the circumference, then it's going to work out to something like maybe a few hundred miles more. And of course, that would be reflected directly in the flight route time that has been calculated for the route, because it's simple. You take your cruise speed and you divide that into the distance, and that gives you the time that it's going to take to arrive at your destination. So if you then extend that line of thinking and you go up 250 miles to the ISS, well, then you've increased the diameter essentially of the route by I'm sorry, the ISS, I guess, is 225. So then you would increase the diameter to 450 miles, and then you would recalculate your circumference based on that. And now you're starting to talk some significant difference when you get that high above the Earth. That's going to show a very distinct and clear time differential because you have so much more distance to make up for when you're that high above the Earth. And of course, you can extend that, imaginary line as high as you want, and it just keeps getting more and more ridiculous. The point is that since I have never experienced anything like that in my flight route calculations, nor were we ever taught in ground school that you have to make allowances for your elevation at flight level in your navigation, well, that tells me that they know full well that the Earth is flat, because we don't have to account for any additional circumference at different flight levels, and therefore the whole idea of a ball Earth is complete bunkum. So what do you guys think of that? Oh.
I totally agree.
Oh, okay. Is this thing on?
Hey, Bob, I linked to that picture up in the Google Hangout if you want to just click on that.
Oh, okay.
That was a picture that Red's Rhetoric actually used to prove his point.
Alrighty then, that's good.
Wait, what is this supposed to prove?
He's saying, because this guy was saying that refraction can't happen on the level that Red was saying it could, and Red showed this picture to show how much refraction can move boats off the water. So I messaged Red, or I commented on his video, and I just said, just tell me because I need to know, are you claiming that this picture is real? And I just left it at that. I don't think he's responded yet. But I mean, if you look up halfway, say about where the red is of the boat, you can see that what looks like the water behind it. See what I'm saying? How it kind of looks like it's sitting in the water?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if it's like a double exposure.
That is weird. You know what that reminds me of a little bit, Jaron? Is remember the second show we did when I was in Hawaii? and I took the picture of the ocean and how it was rising up to the top of the condos that were right next to us.
Right.
But those at least actually met a real ocean horizon. I don't even know what the hell this is supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't know either. But if you look at it,
this is definitely not real.
Well, it could be. I mean, what Bob's saying is if the cameraman is up as high as that line, and I'm talking about if you were to draw a line from the words on the front of that boat to the right, you would see that line that's there. If your eyes were up that high, then the water would be up that high too. Ocean goes up to your eye level, and if there's a boat back there, the boat's going to go up there too. Now it looks like somebody tried to change the coloring or something, because it wouldn't do that.
I grew up off of the river and near the ocean, went to the beach all the time, and I've never ever seen anything like this. Never.
No, I don't. I'm not saying it's all real. I'm saying that it looks like somebody doctored it. In fact, you can see the boat actually sitting in water. And
right. Yeah. No, I can see the water, like the waves along the side and a little bit of water behind it.
Yeah. So I don't know if that's like a double negative, but yeah, he actually was using this to prove how crazy diffraction can get, or refraction, or whatever.
Refraction.
So I thought that was funny because I think a few of those people in the stands there would be a little worried and looking behind them or something.
Well, it's kind of like, when I used to live out in California, you've mentioned this too. You go around the bend on some of these, places that look out over the ocean. It looks like a freaking tsunami's coming at you. It's weird, but
it actually is scary.
Yeah.
It sounds weird to say because, I lived by the beach basically my whole life and can't say that I was ever scared by it until recently. And just when you're paying more attention, you come around a corner, and sometimes because the water rises to your eye level and maybe the mountains that are between you and the ocean are significantly lower than your car is, it can look like the water is way higher than your vehicle. So it looks as if you're about to get crushed by a wave. So very interesting, though, that the ocean does that. To me, it helps even further describe the whole phenomenon of seeing boats go over the curvature or the supposed horizon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because that rises to your eye level. So, and I still don't know how to even describe it because I know it's a perspective thing. But if it rises to your eye level, well, it's going to have to go back down on the other side. You know what I'm saying, Bob? So if you think about when you were in your hotel room, and I know that is a perspective issue, that you see the water that high, but since it's up that high, if a boat were to go past that point, it wouldn't fall, right? No. It has to start going down on the other side.
Right.
So even though it is a perspective issue, the water has to somehow come back down.
Right.
Well, it wouldn't need to do that unless there's a boat there.
Exactly. And the thing obviously that strikes me about this is completely phony is because you've got the two water lines completely delineated. And it's like, where have you ever seen that happen ever? And I never have. That's why this
No. And I've looked into Phantom Morganas before. Those are the upside down images and the ghost images, and Wikipedia has a whole page and they show you a ton of them. There is nothing even close to that. And I've seen actual pictures where the boat might be flipped, like an inversion, upside down ghost image.
Which would be much more realistic because when you see mirages, typically that's what you see is an inverted image over the primary image.
Yeah, that's why I never got the excuses people were giving for the Chicago skyline being seen over the water, because it's projected to you perfectly. And it's not a mirage where it would be hazy, or it's not an inverted image or upside down image. It's the perfect buildings. So, interesting.
Yep, very much so. Okay. So let's see. What do we got going on in the chat? Let me kind of take a look real quick here. TJ, you been watching the chat, I assume? He's more the chatty one than me.
Yep.
TJ, you have been watching?
I've been keeping an eye on it until I started looking up this ship.
Oh yeah, if you look up Phantom Morganas, you should see. It
was at the Royal Open Royal Aberdeen. So I found the ship. I'm just trying to look around and see because if that really happened like that, it's not like photoshopped or they didn't do that in the studio, edited in live.
Well, it's going to be if it is real, it's a Zoom issue.
About. It's a what issue?
It would be a Zoom issue. Meaning, again, so like Bob said, if you're in a high-rise hotel next to the ocean in Hawaii or whatever, so let's say that person with the video camera or with the photo camera is up high, and they zoom in all the way very closely till they get that picture right there. Well, the water has to be at their eye level. So it looks to me like behind that boat is the water level. Then somebody just color corrected it to make it look crazy by making the water that it was actually in look like the sky behind it.
Yeah, I'm seeing an image on Getty Images where, gosh, the freaking stupid credit is hiding the boat, where it looks like the water level did rise up, and the color of the water is a different color than the water in front of it, but it's like kind of like fading into the color of the sky. So yeah, someone had to do some kind of color correction to make that water and the sky match. So then it looks like this boat is floating. So yeah, that's exactly what happened.
Okay, so there we go. I've got the video up that I shot in Hawaii. And let me get it over here.
Imagine that there is see this hill right here, like right in the middle of the screen? Imagine that there's a bench there with a bunch of people sitting on it, and then Bob were to zoom in from this room and look at a boat that would be way behind them, but because he was zooming in, the water level would be so much higher, and then you would just need to color correct, and if you feel like playing with images, I'm just saying,
right.
That's what it looks like they did to me.
Right. So yeah, on this one you can see here's the high rise is next to us, and I'm shooting. We're at the 7th floor. Here's the high rise next to us, and look at that. I mean, it's a dead perfect match. It comes right up to the top of that building.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, definitely perspective. And that, by the way, people, is what we mean when we say that the horizon always rises to eye level. This was shot from the 7th floor in Maui, looking north, down the beach line.
And that's also, to me, I mean, it proves the flat Earth because the ball couldn't do that. The reason that it rises up to your eye level is because it's from our perspective, it's a never-ending plane. Now, if you got close to the ice wall, I've never been there, so I can't tell you what would happen when you got to that point. But it's certainly not like the higher you get up, the more you can see over the curvature, which would be true on a ball.
Right.
Wouldn't you say? I mean, if you're on a ball and you climbed up this hotel, you would just be able to see further over the curvature.
Right.
Down.
Yeah. The horizon would not be meeting you at eye level. You would be looking down at an angle, just like the helicopter video showed.
Exactly, same thing.
Yep, and that just doesn't happen. So, I mean, that alone, to me, is so irrefutable that how could anybody even, claim the globe Earth, based on that evidence alone, not to mention the other million things that are wrong with it.
Yeah, but you're right. There's some keys. I mean, and these are the kind of things, Bob, when we build that webpage, that we'll, make a special section for, because some of these things are just, there's no, I don't care what, it's not a mirage, it's not a refraction, it's not, these are just laws of basically I want to say the laws of physics, but they're the,
perspective.
The physical laws, the perspective laws that tell you where you're at, unless somebody else tells you not to trust your eyes, but to trust them.
Yep. Absolutely. So, yeah, that's just a great example of that. Also, and again, if it was a ball, you would be looking down, just like this shows, to the horizon. And, we just clearly demonstrated with that picture that I took in Hawaii that is not the way it happened. So that's pretty cool. So, moving on.
Can you check the ISS, Bob? I see TJ's playing with boats.
Oh, we're out. We're out in the daylight. Offline.
That doesn't mean anything.
Sorry, I get distracted by boats and hose.
I didn't get you in trouble this time. It's not my fault.
Yeah, but now he's addicted, so now he's a sex addict now. So.
Oh, now I gotta.
Yeah, you saw I found Eva's real Facebook profile today.
I'm gonna have to go to confession now. Thanks.
Not only confession for what you've been doing, but because you got me involved.
Right.
Yeah,
Blessed be Father, for I have sinned. It has been 19 years since my last confession. I'm not sure how a priest would take that one.
Well, let's see. We're not seeing anything. Now, they always seem to do that to us, don't they? Right when it goes over land, it's like, oh, sorry, we can't show you anything.
Right, and then they'll wait until they'll give us the 15 minutes of it, and then it will be dark again.
Yep.
And this is how they get away with calling it. We have a 24-hour live ISS channel, aka 15 minutes every hour and a half.
Yeah. Oh, hey, TJ, you should pull up a couple different live satellite weather sites, because it looks like we're going to go right over the western tip of Australia. So it would be interesting to see what the cloud pattern is going to be right there, and see if it matches up. Because, like I said, I've done this. Cammie and I have done this many times, and it's hilarious because the ISS will be showing nothing but clouds everywhere, and the live, the live weather display shows that it's a clear day, and also the forecast, shows, oh yeah, clear sunny day. And you'd never be able to tell that from the ISS because every time they go over land. Now, last week, I think it was, I was amazed when we were looking when it went over Australia. It looked like, it looked like the Australia was taking up most of the planet. I mean, their perspective on it was absolutely ridiculous. But yeah, that would be interesting to see what the weather matches up with this as it goes over. And I'd say that's going to be in about 10 minutes. We should be seeing that.
Where are we flying over?
The western tip of Australia.
Oh, over Australia, okay.
Yep. So that should be interesting. And yeah, the hose heads don't have anything on, so I guess I'll go over and touch one other video. What happened?
So we've encountered a technical issue on loading the weather map.
Yes, they knew the Globebusters were watching it. That must be it. So, all right. So the next video that I kind of wanted to highlight, and this is the one that Jaron and I were just talking about earlier, and this is not for beginners. This particular video requires you to have done a little bit of research into maybe a few other things like, Masonic symbology, sigils, and archetypes, and understanding, a little bit of that occult knowledge. But it is incredible. I mean, I think that this is one of the best videos I have seen, this year. And it's more on an advanced level, so I will tell you that right away. It's not something that, a beginner flat earther is going to walk in and look at it and go, what? But it starts out and it basically talks about optics and how they work, and then it goes into some numerology. And then it goes into chemical bonds and electron patterns around certain molecules. Talks about that, and then it goes into some very interesting areas of the electromagnetics of the plane, which is kind of the area that I've been looking at very closely, because I'm convinced that all of this is being set up on electromagnetic fields, and there are a slew of videos on YouTube that show some absolutely incredible demonstrations of magnetics in action with neodymium magnets, electromagnets, the magnetic forces on liquids, everything. And the reason I think this is so great is because I'm of the opinion that theories really don't mean much unless you can demonstrate. You have something demonstrable that can be scaled up, that's demonstrable in a lab. And a lot of these magnetic experiments that are that they show on YouTube, you can easily visualize it being scaled up on a level to planetary or plane-sized, and complete with the mechanics of everything, the motion, electromagnetic fields or magnetic fields, even what we've been taught to believe are static, are not static, and that's proven very well in a lot of this research that these people are presenting. So this video in particular really goes into a lot of that, along with a lot of the symbology, mythology. Like it says, flat Earth and you, science, symbols, mythology. A guy named Grizzleface, and I had never heard of him before, but I just thought it was one of the greatest videos out there. So I would highly recommend everybody go and check this thing out, and we will definitely put this in the links after the show. So let's go back over. And, oh, we got ISS Live. We're back. And I've been very chatty. You guys just feel free to interrupt me.
What is that that box looks new over there to me?
This thing up here?
Yeah.
Oh.
Looks like it's hovering.
Yeah, it looks like there might be some sort of a small hole or something holding it up. I have no idea. This whole thing looks like a model. Like I said, these are SO239 connectors, which take PL250 which plug into them. Again, this is just model stuff, and it's everywhere. They use them like up here. You know, this almost looks like an air conditioning unit. Looks like it's got a big fan on the top of it. You guys see that? This one too.
It totally does.
Yep.
Did you watch any of the Drunk Buzz Aldrin video?
Yes.
I love when he says that they're on the moon and it was getting a little cold, so they turned the heater on the LEM. I'm just laughing. Like I guess just had heaters on the LEM on the moon. Okay.
Well, yeah. Well, considering they threw their crap out on the lunar surface, they probably did get a little cold.
I'm loving watching that guy. He's just getting more and more open and saying things I don't think he's supposed to, and arguing with Bolden, and it's just funny.
No. He's blatantly drunk, you know, and a side of it is really sad, you know.
Part of it is sad, I agree, but the other part is stop being a liar. So
exactly. I mean, because you know he walks out there all blingy, like you know he's somebody, and of
what
course
is that stuff? He's wearing all kinds of just jewelry, and I think I don't want to say anything in case Dave Johnson's listening, but it looked like he was wearing like a skulls bracelet. That one bracelet, it looked like skulls. Clickety-clack.
Clickety-clack, yeah. I don't know what that was, and of course, why would he need to wear two watches? That was the other thing that was bizarre, but you know, whatever.
I couldn't stop laughing when he kept going on and on about the damn circuit breaker. I was like, I could not. I was like dying just watching him just keep saying.
I know. Yeah, he's like, well. He's like, yeah, I got to keep my fingers over those so that, you know, they don't accidentally get turned on, because then somebody could accidentally deploy, the chutes?
Parachute.
Yeah.
Like a good mechanisms you guys got there.
Right. So they keep the circuit breakers offline and the primary activation switch offline. It's like, well, okay, I guess I can see that. But it just seemed like something that was really ridiculous to be, you know, harping on.
Yeah, he just kept going on and on about it. Like, oh man, too funny. And just some of the words he used. When he's at that kids conference in the huge arena, and he's just telling those kids, and then I shot down 2 planes in Korea. It's like,
oh, I know. He was drunk off his butt.
Oh, there he was really plastered.
Yeah, and the people were just—you could tell the people that were shooting the video were just cracking up. You know.
Oh, they were dying. They thought it was funny. Yeah.
Yeah. Like,
what was that? Somebody's coming.
Yep. All right, TJ, it's you. We know it's you.
TJ,
yep.
You gotta send us some dinner.
I've got the weather map up finally. Found one that worked.
Oh yeah, where is Australia? Bob, scroll down and see where we're.
All right, let's see.
Where are we dancing?
Almost. We're there. I say 5 minutes. We should be starting to see the tip of it. You know, and I'm not sure. Let's see if it's coming towards us.
Yeah, it should be like we're at the front.
Yeah, we're heading east. Yeah. Okay. So we should be seeing it off in the horizon soon. Let's see.
I don't know why I have just such an issue with this. Is not what a ball would look like. You would not. I don't know. Just does not seem like from this height, which, you know, when I did my little comparison and 250 miles up, I don't think this is what you would see.
Don't
I wish
do
there
it
was
in
a way to
Google
model
Earth.
it. Hmm?
Don't do it in Google Earth.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's a disaster. Yeah.
Because
Well, I mean,
they'll show a steeper curve, but they'll show a similar view.
you can just go to the moon, and you know how on the lower right on Google Earth it tells you the distance you are away.
Mhm.
Well, you can go, and if you're 10,000 miles from, excuse me, if you're 5,000 miles from the moon, and then you go 10,000 miles, and you take the difference and you project it out at 240,000 miles, the moon would be tiny, teeny, teeny, tiny. You wouldn't even be able to see it. And if that's supposed to be your real view, I'm pretty sure you can just do that, right? Bob, would that make sense if you took a look at what your screen looked like at 10,000 miles, and then, or 5,000 miles, and then backed it up to 10,000 miles, whatever the distance, the difference is in the circumference of that circle, as long as you just kept increasing it every time you doubled the distance, that'd be correct, right?
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I'd actually have to do the calculations on it, and that's something that TJ and I are working on.
Here comes Australia, I think.
Yep. Oh, yep. There it is. Hey, can we predict stuff or what? Let's see. Whoopsie.
You should get in the NASA business.
Yeah. No kidding.
I'll pass.
Like,
so let's go. Want to look at? You have the weather map up? You said, TJ?
Yep.
Let me look
There
at
is
that.
now it looks totally clear. By the way, let's make note of that, guys. We can see Australia coming up, and there's not a single cloud above it. Okay.
Looks pretty clear on the map too, though.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool. So maybe we'll see something. But if all of a sudden,
there's a little patch that we're seeing, and we actually see it on the weather map.
What little patch is that? Show me with your.
I don't see it.
This little gray patch right here.
Oh, is it okay?
Yeah, bring his up, Jaron.
Oh, I thought I did have it up.
No, you're still on mine.
Let me see here.
Or maybe you are. I don't know. Oh no, you are. I'm sorry. God.
Okay.
I get confused between the our feed and the live feed. I keep looking back, and that's a problem with having too many screens in my office. I'm so confused.
I was so jealous of Stephen Christopher's when you watch that video I told you about. He's talking to Dave Johnson in a Skype box. He's recording the video. He has 20 tabs open.
Oh, jeez.
Is moving boxes around his screen, and everything is just flawless. I mean, I'm watching it like sick to my stomach. I can't run two things. I can't have my Outlook mailbox open and the internet at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm like watching this guy stay. I'm like, how are you doing that? I can't. If I gotta get on Skype, I gotta shut everything else down, or else I'm just gonna be dragging the whole time. Like, and I know my internet speed is fast. It's not the internet. I think I can even clock in at above 100.
Yeah. No. So somebody in the chat says 233DW says those panels on One World Trade Center, whoopsie, are definitely LED lights installed by Douglas Durst's son-in-law Mark Domino. The Durst organization owns part of the building. So, okay, yeah, and that kind of makes sense because if you look at your portable sun, Jaron, the elements in that, the little LED emitters in that, look kind of just like what's on the World Trade Center. So I can,
I
can buy that.
noticed my street lights look like it too. The street lights outside the house look like it.
Oh, really?
Told you.
I don't know if you guys redid. Did they redo your street lights?
Yeah, they did some of ours with LEDs. They did our
so
traffic
bright.
signals too. But you wouldn't know this, Jaron. But here they changed traffic signals to LED lights, so when it snows, the snow sits on top of the lights and block them out. Instead of the old lights would melt the snow.
And we still have the old school ones here.
If we get good snow, we have no traffic lights.
If you saw the lights, Bob, that they put in around the cities here, you can't see the sky anymore. They have completely wrecked the night sky. The street lights are so bright.
I thought they were trying to go to more of these dark sky communities and keep that angle of light down.
She's not here.
Huh.
What is that coming up there?
Yeah, we got a lot of clouds coming up.
I'm gonna go switch over here.
Yep, there's a big cloud pile.
And you're seeing it. You're
Oh, yeah.
seeing it commensurate with that, TJ, on the weather map.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they must have listened to us then, because like I said, when Cammy and I have done this many times, it wasn't even close.
Looks like they could be heading into a storm.
Interesting. What's the other feed showing? And this is this is the back side of it. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, that's the back side of it. Yep, that's correct.
You like looking at the backside, don't you?
Especially if there's a nice backside to look at. like the Mexican weather girl. God, I just cannot get over that. I love that video. Aussie man reviews the Mexican weather girl.
I want to see if that big cloud comes across backwards here. I don't know why they're not matching up in my view here. Let's see. So I bought it's a rescue mirror. I was actually looking at them for a while online, and finally found one. And actually, on the package it says works up to 40 miles.
Oh, geez.
Well, have you ever seen one of those rescue mirrors?
You mean the ones that don't break? Are they small? What?
Well, they don't break, but they also have a hole right in the middle. Not a hole, but a scope or a little eye hole. But what you do is you can actually put the reflection on your hand, and then once you see the circle on your hand, then you can actually direct the beam wherever you want it. So that's perfect because Miss and I have been wanting to do some testing, and after she got swept up by the wave, I felt really bad. I don't feel right leaving her at the beach anymore. So we wanted to do something during the day, but we just couldn't figure out how we're going to be able to see it. Well, as I was watching these videos, I realized that with mirrors, you can direct the sun. And so that's what we're going to do now is I'm going to try with this mirror. And it says it goes 40 miles, which doesn't make a lot of sense. With the curvature of the Earth, it should be impossible. But that'll work from Pacific Grove to all the way to Santa Cruz, which is about 30 miles. And we'll be able to direct that beam exactly where we want it, so I can just flash that beam into the camera lens from all the way on the other side. So that's going to be fun.
Yeah, very much so. You know, I hate to say this, but this is probably one of the best renderings I've seen of the ISS since we started doing this.
Was that a star?
Where?
Upper left.
I don't see it, but
I see something rising almost.
Oh, I see it right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or is that the moon?
No.
I think it's just something in the window.
Can't be because it's moving. It's moving with the curvature.
Yeah, it looks like it's. Let's see. Let me put the point right on it. Let's see where it moves to. No, of course it disappears. Jeez. All right. Try that a different way.
Yeah, it's moving up.
Yeah, looks like it.
I have my mouse on it, and it's moving a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely appears to be moving up.
What would that be?
No, maybe it's supposed to be a star or a planet or something. I don't know.
Yeah, it can't be a star.
Or a screw up.
I found a site, gosh, and I wish I would have bookmarked it, dang it, that goes through and shows close-ups and details about all the ISS and stuff. And it's pretty cool, but it doesn't look exactly, well, it doesn't actually, there's a lot of discrepancies between what they're showing on this website and these particular modules.
I mean, look at the shadow right there on the right. I mean, that shadow's just it's just staying there. But that vehicle is traveling 17,000 miles per hour.
Yeah. Yeah. And supposedly going around the Earth every 90 minutes. So that's kind of a fail. You know, somebody who is really good at spherical geometry, spherical trigonometry, should actually calculate that and see how fast, you know, these should be moving across. I don't buy for 1 second that they're this stable, especially at this speed. That just doesn't make any sense to me. But
Bob, can you switch back to the backwards view real quick? I just want to see if all those clouds passed in the other view.
yeah, looking straight down. Now we have the straight down view of it. Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, that's not clouds. Look at that.
Yeah, that's pretty pathetic. And clouds also, I mean, come on, they don't look like that from above.
No, we've all flown in planes.
I know. I mean, they seem to be pretty solid and pretty flat on the top. I'm not saying that isn't possible, but that doesn't look like any clouds I've seen from above, you know. No, then we got this stupid view again. I hate this view.
Why would they even show that?
I don't know. They overexpose it. You know, I noticed Int Cheese, you know, when we were commenting on this last week, Int Cheese said something about, well, it's because it's greatly overexposed. Well, if that's true, then we should also be bringing out some stars in the background, wouldn't you say?
Or it should be fixed, or taken out of rotation or something.
Yeah, because if they brought the exposure down to correct for the light, then I could see that we wouldn't see the stars possibly. But you know, when they're cranking it up this high, where this is so massively overexposed, we should absolutely be seeing some stars back here, and we're not. So I'm sorry, it's just, you know, the simple explanation of it's overexposed doesn't fly for me. Not only that, but you know, these are in perfect exposure.
Yes. Yep. That's what I noticed when I was looking at that. They've got that stuff in focus and everything. It was just perfect. It's like, why do you need to stare at those things when you got the Earth going below, or the night sky, or whatever?
Yeah, exactly.
Now there is, let's see, back in 2009 there was an article about the space bag that was dropped and orbited the Earth for 9 months. And in the articles they were saying there is something like 300,000 pieces of debris. I don't know if that includes the satellites and all that are supposed to be in space, but 300,000 items in space, anywhere from really small, like centimeter or more, and there are 19,000 pieces of debris, trash, satellites that is being tracked that's at least 4 inches or larger, and they're able to track every single piece. And none of them ever hits the ISS, and you never see any of those in the sky when ISS is flying around.
Yep. So Itchy's made the comment that shadow is quite clearly moving. Well, maybe so, but the problem here is the rate at which it's moving. We never see, you know, for the speed that it's allegedly going, these shadows should not be going this slow. I'm sorry, that just doesn't make any sense to me. And it doesn't matter. We know we've seen this at all different angles. You know.
Yeah, we never said it didn't move at all.
No, it's moving, but not anywhere near what it should be for the speed that it's going, and also for the different angles. You know, even if you could make the case that, well, they're not moving very much because the sun's directly above. You know, we watch these shadows with the sun on the horizon, all different positions, and you never see the shadows whip by like they, you know, that you would think that they would on some of these angles.
Tell Itchies to take his car and go drive when the sun is right above him, and drive and see if a shadow will just stay like that on your car. It's going to move just because you're moving.
Yeah, at 30 miles an hour, it's going to move. And just because the ISS is supposedly 225 miles up, that does not invalidate that argument in the least.
Not if the sun is 93 million miles away.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if the sun's 93 million miles away, forget it. That, you know, that does not fly.
Now, I would be saying something different if you told me that the sun was 3,000 miles, because then I could see a difference based on what we see on Earth versus what's seen 250 miles up if the sun is 3,000 miles. But when you're talking 93 million miles, and we've talked about this before, I mean, I'm sure most of you guys know out there that if you're up, say, 7,000 feet in elevation, you will get burnt so much faster, sunburnt, than you will if you're down at sea level.
Oh, yeah.
Makes no sense on a Earth where the sun is 93 million miles.
Yep, that's true. So InCheese's response is show me the math. Okay, well, InCheese, in this case, we're the ones that are making the observation. We're seeing what we're seeing. So I would say to you, show us the math that explains why this shadow is going so slow. No, I can't show you the math because, frankly, I think it's fictitious, and so I would like to see you show me the geometry or the math.
It shouldn't be too It shouldn't be too hard for somebody to figure out because we already know that the sun goes from one side to the other in basically, is it 45 minutes or 90 minutes?
90.
90, because yeah, they see one every 90 minutes. Okay, so then just based on that, and you can take the distance. I'll have to work on it, but you should be able to know how fast that should be moving across, and it certainly would be much, much faster. I mean, there's no way it could. I mean, the sun is not going to just sit there above this thing for very long. It's going to have to be moving. Do we not see the sun even when you turn around now if we look backwards?
Yeah. Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense. Sorry, I was typing there, so I got a little distracted.
No, I never see. Now I think about it, I don't see ever the sun set. It just hit me. When have we ever seen the sun set? For instance, we see the sun come up, the little flare, right? So if we turn around now, if you look at the vision, the view coming out the back, they changed to the straight down view.
Right.
Have we seen the sun set like the reverse that we see it rise?
I don't think we've seen that. Well, yeah, we've seen it, but it didn't make any sense when we saw it rise. It was completely wrong.
No, but I'm saying, have we ever seen it set? I don't think they show that view.
Well, you'd think that they. Well, no, you're right.
Yeah, it just hit me right now. I've never seen it.
Well, that's it. So InCheese's response is, you saw something and said that doesn't look right. That's all you've done. No, that's not correct. We saw something that we said doesn't look right, and then we gave you a practical example of when you're in a car and you do that, and the shadows move all over the place. And so we've done a little more than just say it doesn't look right. We've given an example of why it doesn't look right. So again, show us the math.
And I'm not saying that if you got in your car that the sun wouldn't move the exact same speed. In fact, I am saying that. The difference is your car goes maximum 80 miles per hour, and this is going 170 times that fast. So it should move 170 times faster than it does. For instance, if you took a pole and attached it to your car and then looked at the shadow that it was putting on the car as you were driving, I would guess that the shadow would move across your vehicle about the same speed as we just saw that shadow move across the ISS. The difference, again, is this thing is, we're told, going 170 times faster than your car at its fastest speed. It's just, it couldn't be more incorrect.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my wife, Cammie is actually in the chat tonight. Everybody, her YouTube handle is Aisling717, and she says, "Wait, it might be something else going on. Several of Xana's comments have disappeared randomly, even on Jern's channel." Yeah, I guess we really haven't talked about that, have we? About what happened to my channel.
No, you should talk about it though. I think it's important.
Yeah, crazy stuff. So last week I noticed that I was replying to comments to people, and it was odd because I knew they were on because they were having dialogues with each other, and nobody was responding to anything that I was posting. And so I thought, wow, that's really odd. I wonder if somehow, my comments aren't showing. And this was on Jaren's channel, by the way. So I logged off of my account and just went to, a non-logged in YouTube account, went back to it, and sure enough, my comments were not showing up. And I'm like, so I messaged Jaren. I'm like, hey, Jaren, what's up? Did you block me accidentally?
It's like, hell yeah, no.
And so he goes, no, in fact, I've always got you set to always allow comments and stuff like that. And I told him what was happening. And I said, my comments aren't showing up. And, he would log in and he goes, well, I see them. And I go, now log out. And he would log out and they were gone. So he did a little bit of research on it and came back and said, well, apparently this looks like a ghost ban. And so for whatever reason, it's supposed to be some sort of a spam type thing, and when you are ghost banded, you're pretty much toast, and at least for a few days at the very minimum. And I said, yeah, but it gets weirder than that. It's almost as if somebody got into my account, and I know they didn't because I've got it set up where if anybody were to actually hack my account, which is unlikely because I used 15-letter number passwords. But if they would have actually hacked it and got into it, I would have gotten a notice about somebody logging in from a different browser. Well, anyway, that never happened. But a lot of my comments, across a lot of different pages, were up fairly high in the, the most popular comments or whatever they're called. And I noticed that a lot of those had absolutely just disappeared. And so I started going back posts, even before I became a flat earther, going back over a year, and it was like there was a surgical removal of all of these posts, and the only thing that was left was just really inconsequential stuff like, oh, hey, great, LOL, something like that. And it's really strange. And so I kind of turned my son Jaren loose on it, who's kind of a computer prodigy, and he screwed around with it for a couple hours, and after that, he had the ban lifted, and I was able to post again. I don't know what he did, didn't ask him, but he kind of does this because, like I said, he's kind of a computer prodigy. And so all that came back, and except when he did that, still, none of my previous posts going back a year of any significance, of any consequence, showed up at all. So I just thought, this is crazy. Why would somebody do this to me? Or, I came to the conclusion that it had to be YouTube or Google, and I have no idea why in the world they would do this to me. It just didn't make sense because I'm basically a nobody. But nevertheless, it was done, and now, I was talking, I commented to Wake the Sheeple 2015, who is also having very similar issues with YouTube. And in fact, it's I was trying to comment to him on one of his videos, and how you can write a response in the comments, and then you hit the post button. But every time I did that, it would just come back like if I hadn't hit the post button.
You know what? That's happening to me.
Yeah.
If I hit the reply button on certain messages, it just like flashes like I didn't hit reply or something.
And doesn't post. Yeah, and so that was exactly what was happening, when I was trying to respond to Wake the Sheeple. And so I don't understand, what in the world is going on with YouTube. Oh, another thing that's happening, Jaren, it's like every day now on a daily basis, when I go to your channel, it keeps coming up and showing me your intro video. Well, that only shows that when you're not subscribed to the channel. So for some reason, something is happening where I keep getting unsubscribed from your channel, and it happens the most with yours, but it also happens on other people. And I'm wondering how many other people out there in Chatland are having this weird shit with YouTube happen.
I've probably had 10 or 20 people email me and say that something's wrong with my channel, that they don't get alerted when I post new videos. And I've looked, and that's the only thing I've really heard from anybody, and I don't have any idea why.
Well,
so that's kind of upsetting.
What I found when that happens, when I have to resubscribe or something like that, there's a little gear next to your name when you subscribe, and if you hit that gear, there will pop up a little checkbox that says "Send me all notifications for this channel," and constantly that keeps getting unchecked also. So if you guys are experiencing that out there with people that you're subscribing to, go to their name and then hit that little gear that's next to their name and see if that checkbox is checked.
Hey, Bob, and do you understand when I commented earlier to Red's Rhetoric's channel about that image he used, when I went back to check if he had responded, he had made a new message and he said, Jeranism, when you post on my channel, if you want me to answer you, you need to make sure you have replies allowed. So I said, that's weird. I never thought I had blocked him. So I went and checked on Google Plus and went and checked YouTube. I don't have him blocked, so why would I not have a reply button under my comment?
Well, when I've seen that, it's something that's in your Google Plus settings about allowing people to respond back to you. And again, it may be something in your settings where that's getting changed in the Google Plus settings.
Really weird, because I've never had that image or that issue before. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah, YouTube is just completely whacked out. But in all the research I did and looking up to it, I have never seen anybody that had their comments surgically removed like mine were, and it really upset me because.
Yeah, I saw it a couple times, and every time it was somebody who was well-spoken, saying they were doing, making comments on a 9/11 video or on a Sandy hoax video, and said that they were ghost banned, and when they contacted Google, they said it's an algorithm. But you don't see anybody else complaining besides these well-spoken people. It's not people dropping links in every video. And I mean, I have people that'll show up and be upset at me and just go to every single. I have 80 videos up, I think, right now, and I've seen people post comments on 70 of them. Just they'll just go to every single video and drop a post, which those are the people that get deleted. But how is that not getting ghost banned? But you are.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't understand it because I don't know, and it's upsetting, like I said, because I mean I've got hours and so many responses that are thought out. In fact, I know Incheese is out there. Incheese, if you look, that entire exchange between you and I is gone, and I did not delete that. I did not. It's like, how did that happen? It's just unbelievable. So. I'm really getting a little upset with those guys, and I know, like I said, Wake the Sheeple is saying that's happening to him. There's all kinds of weird, funky things coming up with the number of views on people's pages.
That's for sure.
And I think Wake the Sheeple was saying something about how his views were locked at a certain number and wouldn't advance. It's just weird, and I don't know if they're doing upgrades. My Jaren told me something about they were going to JavaScript on some of their formatting instead of using PHP or something like that. I don't know.
I hope not, because doesn't Google not allow Java?
Honestly, I don't know.
I don't think Google Browser does.
Yeah, my Jaren would definitely.
Well, Java's different than JavaScript.
Oh, that's right. I'm thinking the other one.
What about PHP?
What about it?
Well, I mean, they're obviously different. So are you using PHP and JavaScript, or?
Not sure. I mean, it's likely they are.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob, I wanted to show you. Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying they tend to get used together.
Yeah, and I shouldn't be talking about it because I have no idea what I'm talking about in that area. Versus Jaren, my Jaren, not Jaren.
Not me. I still have to call Jaren when I need help.
Yeah, it's funny
because
I
thought you were Bob's Jaren. I thought it was just a weird relationship you two had.
That's a handler relationship.
Yeah, I'm just his handler. That's all.
Clickety clack shoes.
Yes.
Dancing around in baby skulls.
Yeah, that was another comment that I thought was funny. Patricia and I had a laugh today that somebody said that well, Jaren got away with another one. He was acting as Joseph Clamera so that he could make himself look good by doing all these fake things and then catching himself. It's like, yeah, that's what I have time for.
Yep.
Since 2011, I was setting this all up. Got an extra 3 views. It was exciting. Hey, if you go to the recorded videos, Bob, I saw one yesterday that's interesting. It's actually got somebody actually saved it. So if you just hit the...
Oh, crap, where are they?
Go to the top and hit the videos button there on the left.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. All right.
And then scroll down, and you're going to have to hit the more button probably at least once, maybe twice. But you'll see like the little saved videos, I guess, twice.
All right.
Should be here, I think. Okay, hit it again.
All right.
5 days ago.
Oh. High matrix. Cammy just came in here and wrote "Hi Matrix" on a piece of paper, so I guess I'm supposed to say "Hi again, Matrix." All right. More videos again?
Yeah, try it again. I'm wondering if you're on the same... Yeah, you're on the Ustream that I go to.
I'm on the HD, though, one, so maybe this is different.
Oh, I usually just go to the regular one, I think, because I don't see the saved videos in that little box.
Yeah, these look different. Yeah, okay. So let's try these. Oh, damn it. Come back here. Ah,
I know, I hate that thing.
I know.
I thought it was 2 days... Yeah, those ones. Go back up. You see those little save videos? Keep going. Keep going. Hit the one that says super... no. Yeah, that one.
I looked through earlier for something that was there this week.
Watch these lights. Watch these lights start going crazy. It like struggles here, and then it starts just flashing lights everywhere. You might have to give it a couple. I think I skipped ahead to like 5 minutes at one point, but if you just kind of watch, you'll see it certainly doesn't even look like that's the curvature that we're used to seeing anymore. It's like, what are those lights?
Is that Bob? He skipped through it. He skipped.
Did I go past it?
No, I think, see how you can still see them. Maybe there's a blue light, a red light.
Remember when they had the camera inside on the people, and you could see those lights on the inside? Remember that was last week or the week before.
Yeah, when I look at this, Jaron, there's only one thing I can say, and that's they're here.
There's no such thing. Skip ahead maybe 2 minutes or something. It gets kind of out of...
Yeah, I see the little thing. It's like noise. It's like there's noise, but what the anomalous little streaking lights are,
It's weird, because I thought that you could see that curvature, and it just looked like it was wrong. I was watching yesterday. I was kind of speeding through it, but I'll have to see if I can find what I was talking about, because that looks like zoomed in now or something. I don't even see the rest of the craft.
Yeah, it's like, what is up with this? I don't see anything. This whole video is like this. Yeah, I'm 17 minutes into it.
Yeah, that is terrible.
God, does it ever come? This whole video is like this.
I wonder why somebody saved it. I wonder if no, the other one said it was like 3 hours, huh? Yeah, 180 minutes.
Oh, we got something coming up here.
That's the laser I was shooting. I'm on the beach right there.
Ah, that's it. Okay.
That's when I was trying to get that silverfish.
I was.
That's either me or TJ, because it's a blue laser, not a green one.
Oh, mine can't be seen. Mine's way down there. See it? That little light?
Yeah.
That's me. What is that?
I have no idea.
That's going to be the sun.
No, the yellow one's the sun.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay. Well, it's starting to light up, but you were right in time for it to end. That was pathetic. No, let's see what
I don't understand how that's supposed to be the sun. There was one that I didn't see that it was saved. It was in Spanish or something? So there was the 2 saved ones on the same day, and then case I was a little bit lower than that.
Okay, we have this SD. Do you think it's maybe this thing? That's 100. That's 2 hours or 3 hours.
Scroll down just a little bit more. Right there, where it says "Oh, Mapa Lindo."
Okay.
Oh, that's just a map. Never mind. I thought it was that 35-minute one, but.
Hey, Jaron.
Mm-hmm.
This Joe Mariani says that he's Joseph and talked to Mike Sargent. I guess that's Mark Sargent. The other day about you and getting together doing a test with his FLIR or night vision, and he's in San Jose.
Oh, tell him I'm going to call him. Mark gave me his phone number.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I guess I can tell him.
I'm sure he hears you, dude.
Whisper to him.
I'll send him a love note from Jaron.
I think I'm losing my mind. My wife was laughing at me today. I was answering emails, and in an email, I said to the person, I said, "Oh, thanks a lot for watching," and they'd asked me a question that I could answer with one of my videos. So I said, "Hey, thanks for watching. Give me a second while I get that video." and then left to go get the link, and then I was like, you'll never believe what I just typed in this email message. The email I wrote in the email, give me a second, I'm going to go get this link. Like as if I was chatting or something, because then I went and got the link and came back and it's an email. So like delete that out and send it. Like I have lost my mind.
I don't know if Mark Sargent has seen any of your recent videos, but when he made that one with the guy from the Navy, he was talking about how they're expecting your balloon launch coming here pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to make a video, I guess, because what I did is I emailed anybody who ever emailed me and talked about the balloon was all in a huge folder, and there was maybe 50 people in there, like I said. But then when I came out with that video that said the price, only 3 people contacted me and said that they were still interested in going forward. And so I did send the email again to the 50 people that were originally interested, just telling them all the details, how they could get it. But I can't launch because mine ends up in the water. So I'll have to, I guess, make a video to say that. If people are thinking, I've been trying to get people to watch Thrive and Survive's launch.
Yeah, which is coming up really soon.
Did you hear if he got his balloon or if he was going to get it?
No, I know he released a video today, I think an update, but I haven't watched it yet, so I'm hoping that he did, because that's coming up really soon, what, like 5 days or something? Yeah, I don't know. I'm hoping so. Let's see. So, well, I guess we're offline on the ISS, because it's just black screens.
All right, well, it's 8 o'clock. I think that I was heavily disappointed again in the ISS. I don't know what I'm expecting to see, some aliens or something, or somebody with an oven mitt on, like you said.
Yep.
You never know.
You never know.
That was I should actually bring that up on the last one really quick here, but
yeah, I want to see if you can find it.
Yeah, I know exactly where it is. I want to mention a couple other videos that I think are absolutely worthwhile watching in case anybody hasn't already seen these.
Well, just go to my channel. What do you mean?
Well, yeah, besides, God, you put out like 7 hours worth of videos yesterday.
I know that guy said that. I was like, he commented.
And Shelly Thompson, like around noontime Central Time today, was like, "Hey, Jaron, you should put out that video on Joseph." I was that was out last night.
It's like, where have you been?
I did see one good Facebook post that was posted yesterday or something, and somebody was commenting on Joseph, and they said, somebody just needs to get rid of this guy. So it was fun because I replied and said, you're welcome.
I know, with the world's most unexpected result, man. I can't believe, and I commented to Patricia Steer about that too. It's like, I think Joseph, it's a shame because Joseph had some good videos.
That's why I said I had a lot of people question me for why was I waiting? Why was I trying to talk to him? And I said, honestly, because, it's more than I was a nice person, because I liked his videos. I thought he was bringing something to the table, and I said, you know what, if you'll just delete those fake people and apologize to Patricia, that's kind of all I wanted, and then I would just kind of keep an eye on him to make sure he wasn't throwing people under the bus, but I wanted to see more of the videos, right. So that was upsetting.
And I'll share a part of that blame with you, because, you and I talked about it, and, you asked me, you said, here's the situation, and, it was my opinion that I thought that Jaron should take the high road on it and just simply, respond to him and say, look, it's clear that this Claudia Dobos is you. Why don't you just issue the apology, get rid of that account, and just go on making, just forget about it. And that's definitely what I thought you should do, and ultimately it is what you did, and I think you did the right thing. You took the high road. You didn't just blatantly, come right out and say, oh, all this stuff is going on. In fact, I know you didn't like to have to make the video that you did, but when somebody comes out and accuses you of something that ridiculous, blackmail for $30,000, what can you do? You really don't have any choice but to do what you did. But, both you and I agreed, beforehand that there's really no reason to even reveal this. You know, that could just be your little secret, whatever. But just, you know, all we wanted from Joseph is to just stop doing this bullshit, you know, with phantom accounts. You know, so he doesn't have to look like he's the bad guy necessarily, but instead he has his little porn girlfriend that's imaginary do it for him. So yeah, so I mean, you made the right choice. I mean, you did the right thing, Jaron. You took the high road, and I think that was the right thing to do.
Oh, yeah, I don't regret any of it, other than, like I said, he didn't have to go that route. I certainly didn't force him to any route, but that's what he chose. But again, yeah, there's nothing I can do. And a couple people, if some people are in the audience right now, there was a couple people who said, why would you even respond to something like this? And it's just one of those situations that is a damned if you do, damned if you don't. That if I wouldn't have responded and said anything, then I'd have an equal amount of people saying, why haven't you responded? And because I did respond, I have a bunch of people saying, why did you stoop to his level and respond?
No, you didn't take the higher ground.
Yeah, and so, you know, I've kind of learned to just, I can't worry about that stuff. It's the last thing I want to worry about. I like doing these live shows. I like combining my research and making videos, and I do throw in humor. The whole Buzz Aldrin thing was just a collection of interviews I'd been watching with him, and I mean, we were dying. My wife and I were. He was absolute comedy gold, as they call it, and yeah. So I mean, those are the things I enjoy. And you know, somebody else did make a comment on that Buzz Aldrin video about why don't you focus to things that matter. And if everything we did in our lives was completely serious, we'd all go crazy. And so sometimes it's nice to have a 2-hour break where you can do something fun like that. So
exactly,
that's just what I do.
And you know, you're human too. We all are. I mean, when Dave Johnson attacked all of us, I mean, it really got under my skin. And so, you know, I went out and I did all this research on him and found all this really incriminating crap on the web. And I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to get that guy. We're going to show all this stuff. And then I thought, you know, when the show night came, I'm like, you know what? If people want to find out about Dave J, they can go look themselves.
Just watch a couple of his videos.
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, there's some really, really bad stuff on him out there. And I was all geared up to do that. And I thought, you know, Bob, bullshit. We're not going to do that. I'm not going to go down that road. I was upset. And, you know, like anybody, you know, I had an emotional reaction. I was like, well, you know, screw you too then, you know, two can play at this game. But I realized that all that's really going to do is just drop me to that level. And that's a really low vibrational energy. And I don't want to play that game because ultimately I know that it will come back and bite me in the ass. So, you know, I decided myself to take the high road on it. And I advised Jaron to do the same. And I think I always would, you know. And Jaron, like I said, you had to do what you had to do because, you know, especially with some of the comments that you were getting, you know, he makes these completely unsubstantiated allegations. And it's like, so what are you supposed to do? Just sit there and say, oh, well, nothing. And so then people are going to say, yeah, I think Jaron, he didn't even refute what you said, so he must be guilty. And you know people would say that. So,
oh, yeah, and that's why I had to make something. But like I said, when I actually saw the video, I laughed. I thought it was funny. I thought, well, I don't know what this guy's doing. You know, but the one thing that upset me was the comments because I saw a lot of people that I know follow me saying, oh, I unsub Jaron, or I can't believe he would do this. And, you know, that was kind of the upsetting part just because he made a 1-minute video that had no evidence. And at the same time, it wasn't like I went begging for them to come back. I'll never do that because to be honest, I don't want those people following me because I try and say all the time, don't trust men, do your own research, etc., etc., and then somebody puts out a minute video with no evidence and they trusted him. They believed him. So it's like, whatever, believe him. But I still had to put the video out because, like I said, I knew that it was kind of which lesser of two evils. Was I going to get more people asking why I didn't respond or more people saying, hey, you didn't have to go so low? But I also thought it was important because it wasn't just me. It was Mark Sargent. You know, yeah, he said that. Yeah, Patricia Steer. But I mean, he said some terrible things about them, and not that blackmail isn't terrible, but you know, to tell people that Mark Sargent is droning babies in other countries with no evidence is crazy. And then to say the things he said about Patricia and the names he called her, I won't even repeat it. But it was completely rude and a sign of a lack of respect in every way, and that's something I just can't sit around and watch. It's
Yeah,
terrible.
you're referring to the pair mark, the pair remark, the pair of.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that was pretty low rent.
Yeah, it's just
So
to me those kind of people are they don't look at other humans as their brother and sister, and it's just there's never anybody besides my wife, but there's never there's never anybody that I would refer to in that way. It's just it just makes me sick to see some of that stuff, and the things that Claudia went and said to Patricia's channel, and she's on medication, she needs to see her doctor, and I can imagine those things are hurtful. And like I said, a lot of people wanted my wife to start a channel a long time ago, wanted to have her hear her voice, and we decided that it was best not for that exact reason. I protect her too much to have somebody who has no respect for people. They don't understand how hard it is to even make the videos. And I always tell people, make videos, make videos. They always say, I don't know how, I never have. I said, I'd never made a video, ever. And you just sit down and
you hate your voice.
Huh?
And you hate your voice.
I do hate my voice. And luckily we bought a headset microphone off Craigslist for $10, so my voice actually does sound a little bit better. Before I was using a handheld mic, like I'm on a stage. The end of comment, I had the same one Missa was using the first couple shows. The one that was clicking on and off, and yeah, terrible piece of junk. But no, it's just I tell people get up there and do a 1 minute or 2 minute or 3 minute video where you just talk and put a couple images up, and really once you get that first video out, you can really, the next one will be better, and the next one will be better than that, and you just kind of can get into a groove and put yourself out there, and I think too many people still are just depending on other people, and I understand that. For 20 years I was watching YouTube videos and never made a video, so I was the same thing, going to YouTube every day and seeing what the people I subscribed to were putting out on a day-to-day basis, and but I just think it's important that people, I get so many comments on Facebook from people just saying, you upset me when you said this, or you upset me when you, and I just tell them, okay, I understand, but I'm not going to change. And that's something I stand firm to, that I am who I am, the way that I like to present stuff, and I understand that some people have things that they wish I'd bring up. A lot of people message me and say, why don't you talk about this? Why don't you talk about this? And I just tell them, if you want to talk about it, make a video. And they might get upset at that, and I just say that there's some things I just don't think are important to talk about. So I'm just being me, and I do think this flat Earth thing is huge, and I think there's so much evidence out there. We showed one tonight with the high water. So much evidence that we can show people and really get them to realize that this is not just some a shot in the pan. And that's what I was going to say until I went off on a tangent. But to do what Patricia did and what she does, and to do what Mark Sargent does, and I really respect the people, and I'm not saying I don't respect the people who don't come out with their real name, but the people that are posting under their real name, to me that shows a lot. And for the record, I've asked quite a few people to show me their ID, because it's important for me to see. I know that I'm out here with my real name, and I don't want to be the only one and see other people who, there's a ton of people that join those Facebook groups and request me that are clearly using a fake name. And that's fine. I understand that. In fact, mine was Jeranism Changer or something until Facebook made me change it. Right. But I didn't do that to be sneaky. I just didn't do it under my real name. But it's important. When I saw Mark Sargent posting under his real name and Patricia, those things show me a lot. That those people are, it's not as easy as people think to put your name out there and to post these videos and to take the abuse and to get the hate messages, and it comes with the territory. We all know that, but I'm just saying, when I see somebody get treated like Patricia did, it just was. I don't think that's, like Bob said, it's the worst place we should be putting our energy. And I firmly believe that if we ever all just figured out a way to come together, defeating these guys who run the world would be simple because there's not very many of them. Let's say there's 50,000. That's a huge overestimate. And okay, well, there's 5 billion of us. And all we need to do is collectively come together and realize that, there's not races. That's one thing I was going to bring up tonight. I'll just bring it up real quick. Maybe some people saw on Facebook that Matthew Powerland has stated, well, now you guys have gone and made this a race issue. And I just want to point that out to everybody that he is the one saying that it's a race issue. Not one of us has ever stated anything. I love all people. I love all races. I don't have any hate for any races. I know Patricia doesn't have any hate for any races, or Mark Sargent. So for somebody to say things like that, he is the one who's putting that out there in the consciousness, not us. I messaged him back and just said, dude, I even told him, because he's talking about going to the edge. He wants to go to the edge. I said, open up a donation page. I said, I'll be your first $20. I said, open up a donation page. Say you want to go to the edge. I said, what happened to the old Matt that would sit on a couch and just talk for a 10-minute video? I told him, you don't need to paint circles on the floor anymore with a mop. I said, get up there and tell people you want to go to the edge. I said, people will back you. And he responded to that by saying, now you've ruined it because you've made this a race issue, and now it's about Holocaust denial. It's being paired up with flat Earth, and to me, it's like so upsetting because nobody is going into this like that. Everything I'm doing is to bring people together, and I want positive energy, and I know it can defeat the world. I know that we can bring, it's a cliche, but we can bring heaven on earth tomorrow. The earth provides everything we need: clothing, food, water. There's enough for everybody, and then some. Shelter. And instead we choose to let the 1% control us and own us with their banks and their money system. And I'm not saying I have the answer to get out of it, but I know that number one would be we can't always be fighting when we're all on the same team. It's just ridiculous. Why not come together with a common goal? And that common goal shouldn't be, we're all brothers and sisters to me. That's the way I look at it. And so that's just upsetting to see other people have other intentions. I don't know why people all have this. They want to go get somebody. They want to go after this person or make claims about this person. I mean, look at the YouTube comments on every single video you see. Last night, Melissa and I were watching a video last night talking about your messages getting deleted, Bob. There was a string of messages from, I think it was like 2 months ago, where the N-word was used maybe 20 times in between all these people. It was disgusting. And I was like, how did Bob's messages or comments get deleted? And these are sitting up here for everybody to see, complete and total racism. It had nothing to do with flat Earth. It was something else. But regardless, it's just there's so much negativity. Like, people have this hate inside them, and we're never going to get where we need to get until people realize that we're all one. Believe me, there's only one God. There's not the Hindu God, and there's not the Islamist God and the Christian God.
We're all source.
One. Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. The source. So anyway.
Yeah, I agree with you. And what I was going to say, it's a shame that that happened with Joseph because, like I said, I thought he had some great videos. I love when he sings in his videos because to me he sounds just like the lead singer of Iron Maiden. So I kind of like that about him. But the thing that really got under my skin was, in his friendship video that he put out, he was talking about how we all have to get along and all he cares about are the facts and stuff like this, and then he just releases those hit pieces, on you and everybody. And so I think, in regards to his videos and in regards to his flat Earth research and his experiments, there's definitely been a loss to the community. But the flip side of it is we don't need people calling out everybody else, trying to make themselves look better or whatever by dissing other people. I just I have a problem with that, and there are people that I definitely have taken exception of. In fact, I noticed that there was a guy in the chat tonight. I even responded to him that just flat out called out as, you know, what I believed he was a shill, and you know, and it's like, you know, I passed that. I still don't like the people that come back and make comments that are nothing but negative. There's another guy, by the way, that I've noticed on your comments, Jaron, that just goes through and he responds to every person, and, you know, just talks about how screwed up you are, this, that, and the other thing. And those are the kind of people that, you know, if it was my channel, I would just say, all right, you know what, you're gone. There is no reason for anybody doing this, you know, and responding to people that aren't even talking to him. I just think that's so ridiculous, and all it's doing is just trying to cast doubt on you, you know, make you look bad, make everybody look bad. You know, he calls all of us, you know, people that believe in the flat Earth morons, and I personally have no tolerance for that. So when I start making videos, and I am going to, but I'm kind of at that point where you're talking about. It's like, you know, I want mine to be perfect, and it's like, you know, that's never going to happen. So you might as well just do it. So I'm gonna
be careful, because if you get better with each video, people then say you work for NASA and that's part of your plan. I saw that one. It's like, they're like, did you realize he's getting better in his videos?
Well, I know they said that about Mark Sargent. Mark Sargent was using Windows Movie Maker, for God's sakes. Like,
yeah, and it's just like everything else. There's a learning curve with it. I'm staring at the screen like, how do you use this thing? And you just get the hang of it and figure it out, and that's what it's about. Yeah, you should always get better at everything you do. I mean, that's something my wife and I talk about all the time, is you have to learn your lessons, because I really think that's what life is about, is you know, not making the same mistakes over and over again.
Yeah,
and that's why I tell people all the time to do their own research and not trust me. The reason I say that is because I'm going to make mistakes. I'm a human being. I make mistakes hourly, and probably more than that if you were really to count them. But it's just I just want people to realize that that's going to happen, and that's why, I mean, when you talk about that guy, Bob, and I don't know who you're talking about, but sometimes I'm just not interested in getting rid of those people, because if somebody sees that and that's what drives them away, then, you know, I can't really help that. It's like, whatever. You can't babysit people. I'm hoping that people grow up and realize that you should take in the content from everybody, and decide what is true and what isn't, and just move on with that. It's like this guy, Jungle Surfer, that is just every video he comes out with every day is jeranism's doing this, jeranism's doing that. Basically keeps telling me I need to recant on the Hampstead hoax. Little does he know that I am continuing to look into that. It's a very important case to me personally, and the more I look into it, the absolute more concrete that story is. So for somebody just to keep telling me, pull this story back, recant this story, it's like, I will never answer to somebody who says that kind of stuff to me. It's just not how I operate. I'm not ashamed of coming out and saying something. I'm not ashamed of the Stonehenge video. Those are my true feelings, and if they don't resonate with you, then don't watch that video, and hopefully something else I've said does. And if everything I say doesn't resonate with you, then you shouldn't watch my videos. You know, there's millions of other people making videos that you can watch. But I guess that's the one thing that I agree with you, Bob, on the comments, is I've never watched any video and just sat there and hated on the person who made the video. Just
right.
makes no sense. Like Joseph's video about Patricia says, I just wasted the last hour and a half on this stupid video so you could talk about yourself. It's like, well, whose fault is that? I've never gotten to the end of an hour and a half video and been so upset at the person who made it that I need to write a huge piece about how much time they just wasted in my life. That's my fault. What am I doing watching an hour and a half video I don't like?
Yeah, exactly. Well, who I'm talking about is this guy right here, Jaron. I mean, he's just disruptive. And yes, I agree. There are people in there that they can make dissenting comments, but that isn't what this particular guy's doing. This dead-based,
especially if he's showing up on all the videos. That's what I can't stand. There was another guy that was doing that at the Stonehenge video. He had some video footage of some orbs in the sky. I don't know. I don't even think they are real, but whatever. And he had gone to every single one of my videos and dropped his link, I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, what is? And of course, he doesn't get blocked. It's you, Bob, who gets blocked. But
Yeah.
their Google algorithm is working really well. Same link on every single 70 videos, and he doesn't get blocked. So things
Yeah.
like that, I just don't understand. That's called spamming. It's the one thing we all hate. The reason we hate our email is because half of it or 90% of it is junk, and it's from people doing things like that. Just
Yep.
nobody wants to get bothered like that.
Yep. But and you know, like I said, like this guy. I mean, in my opinion, he's got to go because it's more than just dissent. He's calling other people stupid. He's calling you stupid routinely. He's calling a whole, and he's putting absolutely nothing constructive in there. Now, you know, as far as dissenting opinions and opposite viewpoints, I mean, you know, there is a person who's in the chat tonight that I've talked to you many times about that I'm pretty sure would be, well, let's just say controlled opposition. Well, you know who I'm talking about, and I'm sure he does too. But the fact that he is so incredibly polite, and actually he brings a lot to the table, you know, and I actually study this guy. I watch what he does. I watch him go to other people's channels. I watch what he says. And, you know, you can learn a lot from him, not only as far as, you know, shill tactics, I think, but as far as, you know, the arguments that we're going to see presented against us. And so I watch what he does, and I kind of, you know, get it in my mind. I don't actually engage with him that much anymore. But, you know, I watch what he does, and I think that he has some valid points, even though he still tries to kind of lead things down the you know, the wrong path. But so those kind of things I think are great. You know, it's great if you have a dissenting opinion, but it's a whole other thing if you're just saying, well, these are all just morons, and you're a horse's ass, and you know, you know, the F letter, F bomb, every other word. You know, that's
it's just like Red's rhetoric.
That
when I started talking with Red's rhetoric, he came across as a nice guy, and we actually had 2 or 3 Google Hangouts between each other where he was trying to show me things about space and said he would buy Kerbal for me so I could learn about space. And he was actually, you know, taking some of the things I was saying and saying, okay, I'll get back to you tomorrow. Let me figure out how that works. And it was kind of cool. And then he just turned around and made the first video where he basically said the F word 100 times and some other words like 10 times. And at that point, it's just like, you know, that's not necessary. And it's just not needed. If you want to have a constructive conversation, I mean, these guys are all supposed to be, they hate me because I don't want to, they say, oh, this guy hates mathematics. He's such a loser and he's retarded. And you know, they're just putting words in my mouth. I never said I hated mathematics. I say that mathematics doesn't necessarily represent reality. That's the truth. Go look up mathematics in Wikipedia, read it. And
yeah.
you know, I'm not saying anything that's just off the wall crazy. And I wouldn't just say the Earth is flat unless, it's flat. And it's just I wish people would be more constructive. You know, if you had a conversation, or like your guy or you know, Blue Cheese or whatever his name is, he at least when I see it, sometimes he's at least carrying on a conversation and listening to people's points, and that's where I think it helps other people who show up at the video, who see that some people have a differing opinion. Here's kind of the explanation for that. He comes back with this. Somebody responds with that. I think that stuff's useful, but when what I just saw there, when the guy says, "Oh, jeranism, his flat Earth videos aren't working, so now he has to switch to make fun of drunk old people,"
yeah,
it's like
that's bullshit.
You're just not even. You're just. I don't know how you have that kind of time in your life. I certainly don't.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
I totally agree. So anyway, well, enough on that. But
yeah, we'll let it go. But
okay, so we're still offline, but I also want to kind of mention this video that I've had setting up the. I don't. Have you seen this one? The U.S. Navy missile instructor confirms flat Earth. Have you seen that video yet?
No, but that's the guy I told you that Skyped me.
Yeah,
So
he is very well spoken. He knows his stuff. There's no doubt about that. And the interview with Mark Sargent is absolutely fabulous. If you haven't heard it, by all means, go over there, listen to him. And I said last night, it's really nice to see people in the military come forward and start talking about this stuff. I know that there's a lot of flat earthers out there that are veterans. I myself am a veteran. I was in the Air Force, and it's just nice to see people coming forth and talking about this, because I know that, the command structure and being subject to the UCMJ, which is not quite as allowing, I should say, as just normal civilian law. He is kind of walking a fine line with some of the stuff that he answers. I think he does a really good job of keeping his security oath or clearance and the guidelines of that, because he will flat out decline on talking about some things, and and obviously you have to do stuff like that when you have a security clearance. It's like when I remember when I was in Hawaii, I got a comment, and this really kind of irked me. You and TJ asked me, what was going on out at DIA, and I said, well, I really, because of my security clearance, that we probably talk about that offline. And somebody came back and said, oh, Bob doesn't want to talk about it. He's a traitor. It's like, no, I just value my job, and I don't want to be in jail. All right, and the same thing goes with these military personnel. They have a very fine line to walk, and he tries to keep himself anonymous to a degree, and I don't blame him for that, because you just never know. I mean, his higher ups can come back on him and trump up some bogus charges or something like that. But this guy in particular handles himself very well. He's very informative. He makes very cogent, very great arguments for why he believes in the flat Earth. And I just got to tell people, go over to Mark Sargent's page, do this interview. It's an hour. It's almost 2 hours long, hour and 50 minutes, and it is just absolutely wonderful to hear people like this coming out and talking about stuff like this. So let's see. And then one other thing. Oh, and the other one that I want to talk about a little bit too is Rob Skiba. Released this video on September 18th. Oh, look, is that the firmament? Sweet, let's nuke it. This is a really good video because in this he talks about what several of the universities have discovered. One of them was the University of Colorado, who are saying straight up that at around the altitude of about 7,200 miles, they have encountered and detected something that appears to be absolutely solid going over the Earth. And of course, Mark Sargent talked about it in what was it, Operation Fishbowl, when they were launching missiles at it, trying to break something up there. And there's some really interesting footage on that also. But Rob Skiba came out and went over some of the university studies that are claiming that this firmament is up there. And like I said, the University of Colorado is one. And this is another outstanding video that if you have not seen it, it is 21 minutes long. He kind of goes off on a little bit of a rant about it, but his points are extremely valid. And the thing that I really thought was cool is I didn't realize that True Frequency Radio was actually being broadcast on FM. So this is a 90.7 FM Denver. So that's pretty cool that Flat Earth is starting to actually get some mainstream, via Rob Skiba and possibly other people on the mainstream radio. That's just awesome.
I'm going to be on TFR on Friday.
Are you really? That's awesome.
I guess with the owner of it. So I don't know.
Oh, wow.
Whatever. Do you know his name?
I was going to ask you, what's his name?
I don't remember his name. Damn it, I can't remember his name right now. Do you know who owns it? If you said his name, I would know it. Oh. I can't think.
Yep.
Is Brap in the chat room? Brap knows, but...
Yeah, Brap's in the chat room. I saw him earlier. And then lastly, this is the one that we talked about last night where Max Egan basically kind of pissed me off with what he was saying. And again, I like a lot of the work that Max Egan does, and he goes onto the Crow House. I think that's one of his YouTube handles. That's the one I've been subbed to forever. And I like his stuff, but when he touches on this thing about flat Earth and his position, I won't reiterate what I said last night. If anybody wants to hear it, they can go back and listen to my little rant last night. But this is interesting what he says about it, because I find it to be extremely misleading, and he's kind of attacking it at the from the wrong position. And also, Dave, deep inside the rabbit hole, I noticed you in the chat earlier, and he's asking who is Dallas Goldbug, and for the people that don't know who Dallas Goldbug is, his real name is Ed Chiarini, and he is the one that basically makes claims like this person is actually this person. One of the more interesting ones that I saw was his claim that JFK was Jimmy Carter, and a lot of his claims are just ridiculous. Some of them you have to go, that's interesting, but I wouldn't take his work, with anything other than a grain of salt, even though he does come up with some really interesting stuff sometimes. But that's who it is, Dave. Ed Chiarini, the Dallas Goldbug, and you can go to his webpage, and he has some very interesting things. He also has a Facebook page that he constantly is releasing images of people, famous people that appear very similarly to have very similar physical characteristics. He does biometric things like looking at the ear pattern. Everybody has unique ear patterns, and he talks about how people can have facial reconstruction. He shows where it's been blatantly done on some people, and I have no doubt that some of the stuff that he has come out with is actually, I think he probably hit the mark, but for the most part, he's pretty crazy on some of his assumptions. It's kind of like Dave Johnson saying, who was it? David Wilcock was you, or who did he say he was? Somebody. But some of those things just get absolutely out there and ridiculous.
The Donald Trump is Joe Biden is Jerry Brown.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. And some of it just seems like real nonsense.
And is Taylor Swift a guy? Somebody better tell me.
That's a hot guy, I'll tell you what.
You and me both. That's what I keep saying.
Well, she's here in town. Maybe I'll get to go and ask her.
Go find out. Report back with pictures.
Proof. Like, we only want to see proof.
Yes.
Reveal the curve.
Oh, and look at this. Here we have the same type of image. You see
What
the
is
bubbles
that?
over here? Yeah, see the bubbles over here?
I'm looking at the thing over by the sun.
Yeah, this thing? I don't know. That's probably some sort of a weird little sundog or something. But, when I look at this is the stuff that I think is absolutely underwater. It's just like the tool bag, when the astronauts were supposedly doing a watch and he drops the tool bag and it bounces off and it kind of screws up everything. But doesn't this look like, first of all, you see the camera, right, lens, but doesn't this look like air bubbles and stuff? Like there's a diver under there with it at some degree. And of course they take it away. But now I need to go back. Actually, let me do that.
On.
I know,
Now all your
bastard.
comments are going to be deleted too, watch.
I know. I guess we'll go to this one. So I'll let you guys comment on that for just a second. I'm going to find the one that the guy was talking about last week that looked to me like it was a diver.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
I'll just cover real quick what's going on next week or next Monday. So if you guys wanted to know, we have a special guest next week. I'm kind of excited about it personally because this is somebody that I looked at a bunch of his videos a year ago and was really interested in watching a movie that he created that was supposed to hit the theaters last year, but has still not done that. It's going to come out on DVD this November, but that's Robert Sungenis. So if you guys know who he is, he's probably, and maybe I'm going out on a limb here, but I would say the most famous geocentrist. I'm going to say that that's probably true.
He is definitely. Yeah.
So looking forward to that. It'll be a little change of pace, kind of, sort of. It's still going to be talking to somebody and debating somebody who believes in the ball. So that's interesting. But then also he believes in many other things that wouldn't quite work. So it's going to be interesting. Hopefully you guys know who he is. If you don't, I suggest that you look him up and kind of check him out. And if you have questions, please do us a favor and probably the best thing to do would be to get to the comment section. Get to the chat early and ask them. I'll try and take down the first 10 or so good questions I see, just so we have some stuff. But I know Bob's got plenty of questions for him. I'm going to have plenty of questions for him. So it's going to be nice to have him. He's very well spoken. He definitely believes in what he preaches, and if you haven't seen the trailer for the movie The Principal, just look that up. You can find the trailer for that movie, which actually looks really good. I know Bob wanted to see it just as much as I did. The reason for that is I think that there's going to be some things in there that will be important even to flat earthers, and that's why I want to see that so bad. And that's the video, if you've heard about the one that certain people like Michio Kaku, also Lawrence Krauss, the girl who does the narrating for it is the girl from Star Trek, and these people all threw a fit after the movie was made because they all claimed they didn't know what the movie was about, which is, regardless, they gave interviews and answered questions, and then when they found out it was a geocentrist video, they flipped out, and Lawrence Krauss called it a joke and everything else, but the comments are the comments. It wasn't as if they were taken out of context. It was an interview, and so it'll be
Captain Janeway really pissed me off when she said that.
Yeah, it was such a joke. She narrated the whole video.
Yeah, it was Kate Mulgrew, by the way, who played Captain Janeway. Yes, on Voyager, Star Trek Voyager. Yeah, I love that show because I'm a big Trekkie, but it's like, really,
You love that one?
I like all Star Treks. I'm a Trekker. What can I say?
What about Deep Space Nine? That one. See, we had a hard time. We started the series. We went all the way through Deep Space Nine. Now we're on Voyager. And Deep Space Nine, I just thought was kind of boring. Voyager is a little more, but it's still kind of boring too. Generations was like the best.
Well, Generations was a movie.
No, The Next Generation.
Oh, Next Generation. Okay. Yeah, I suppose. But gosh, where is that? That's crazy. I'm not seeing it. But yeah, I mean, I've been a Trekker for a long time, even though I realize that that's part of our programming. But it's still it's just kind of cool. I especially liked on Voyager. I liked 7 of 9. Oh man, I get Jerry. I can't remember her last name, but anyways, beautiful, beautiful woman. Jerry Ryan, I think, is what it is. So, anyway.
Did you hear about that lady on that was on Voyager? She just got in trouble for like showing herself naked to some kid or something.
No, on Voyager?
Yeah, well, not on Voyager. This just happened recently.
Well, I know, not on Voyager, but I mean, which
yeah,
Jerry Ryan?
The blonde that was like the one that has like a short lifespan.
Oh, Kess.
Kess, yes.
Kess, okay. I was going to say if it was Jerry, if it was 7 and 9, all I can say is lucky kid. But no, Kess, yeah, I know who she is. I don't remember her name, but yeah, she's kind of a cutie.
Well, she was. I don't know if they just made her picture like that, but they showed that picture. I was like, wow, she must have had a rough life because she looks really rough.
Yeah, it's amazing. You see somebody, some of these people in their older ages, and it's like, wow. Some people age better than others. I mean,
Look at Patricia Steer.
That's what I was just going to say. God, she is.
I have no idea. If there's one person that I would say, or if there's one thing about her I would say, wait, there's something up here, is when she told me her age, I said, no. Tell me again.
Yeah, she's 52. Oh, I found it. Okay.
Yeah, 52. Unbelievable.
52, and she looks fabulous. Of course,
my wife, 25.
My wife, Cammie, is the same age. 50. Well, she's 51, and she looks pretty good, for her age too. I think.
Oh damn! So, yeah, I'm trying to think of my mom at that age. It's like so funny when you think of. It's like my mom was old at that age.
I know. It's like, well, that's one thing about getting old. I mean, you get old, and it doesn't matter how old the women are; they all seem to look hot. So, all right. So here it is. Here is our taken from. Are we on my screen? I think so. Let's see. Yeah. So here it is. We've got this glove-looking thing over here. It looks like an oven mitt, right?
Yep.
And you see these things off the back that look like bubbles. And so I looked at that and I'm like, okay, that does look like an oven mitt. Then I looked at it and it's like, okay, well, it looks kind of like a high heel. This is the heel and here's a shoe. But then I said, wait a minute. This looks like a person's nose. Here's a mask.
Yep,
Okay.
I see that.
Here's the wetsuit. Here's bubbles coming off. And this is some sort of breathing apparatus, I'm thinking. Okay. And yeah, I'm really curious to see what people think about this because.
Holy smokes! Now that you pointed it out, it's like.
Yeah, doesn't that look? And so remember, was it you, Jaron?
Does it move at all?
No, it doesn't really move at all.
I'm talking about like the mask.
Yeah, hit play.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm looking for it to move.
I know, but it's so strange. But what I was thinking is, wasn't it you that came out with a video of them in the swimming pool? Was that you or somebody else?
I had a video of them in the swimming pool when they were telling the guys where to line up for the camera shots.
Right. So let me go back to it here. So wasn't there for very long. And let's see. Okay, so I'm just going to freeze it there. So what I was thinking is that, they had all the producers and the divers, and I was thinking, if we could look at that footage that you had and show this as a diver, with a similar apparatus. Because, I mean, look at this. This absolutely looks like a face mask. It looks like the rubber suit over the top of his head. You can see his nose right here and what looks like his face there. And then this is some sort of a weird, I don't know what that is, some breathing apparatus or something, or maybe that's part of his arm on the other side. I don't know. But then all the bubbles down here look like these would be part of scuba. And again, if you look all over this image, it looks like there are bubbles, that are kind of forming around the lens, and that's what makes me think that this is shot underwater, and that we're catching some reflection here on that. So.
And we also got the same thing on the other side. When I'm looking at it, it's like, yeah, it could be bubbles, but they don't move. It also looks like it could be like some kind of foil or something.
Yeah,
like foil wrapped around something.
Yeah, you would think the bubbles would move, but then again, if you're looking, they could also be attached to the glass, because you know how bubbles will get on a glass and they'll kind of stick there. So I was thinking that was some sort of a possibility, but that, to me, when I look at that, that really looks like a diver's mask, and like a snuba, like what snuba is. It's like scuba, but they have the tubes that run all the way up to the surface, and you breathe through those. But yeah, it was an interesting catch by that guy, and I just thought, wow, what is that? So let's see what the chat says about it. What anybody thinks.
I just put a link to that article, and you can see her mugshot for Jennifer Lane or whatever her name is.
Oh yeah. Oh, Kess. Yes. Taryn had some crazy years ago. Her husband forced her to be involved with orgies or some crazy shit. Huh. Wow, that's crazy. But it's Hollywood, and
I thought you were reading something out of the comments. I'm like, what are people saying?
Oh
yeah, that's what I thought too. I was like, whoa, like what did I just miss?
What's going on?
Yeah, what do you mean Bob is bugging me? What's up with that, Jaron?
I'm talking to your wife. Okay, can you?
Oh, okay, yeah, I
phone,
see that. It's like, how rude. Yeah, oven mitt. I'm just looking at some of the comments back here. Bubbles are camera casing, Frederick says. Wow, nice catch. I can see the eyes and the nose. Good job. That is bubbles. Oh, thanks, babe. You're welcome, sweetheart.
And that's what, and she says, what do they use an underwater still image for? And I mean, that's why, I see what you're talking about, like it could be a person, but I don't think that's a person.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it's an interesting anomaly, whatever it is. So it's just something else that I don't think should be up there regardless.
So I would like to know, where is this camera at in the ISS, and see if there's something that looks like that around the camera. See if that's like reflecting somehow off the glass. me see. What's that main area called where they go and look at all those little windows?
Like observation deck or something, or I don't know.
Observation. I'll type that into this.
Why do we never see the moon? I think that is why they do that little change. I bet you it's exactly every 2 weeks because they avoid the moon.
Well, where did you capture that footage of with the moon on yours? Wasn't that an ISS feed?
Yeah, but it was well, yeah, it was live ISS, huh? Yeah, I mean, occasionally I guess you do see it, but I mean, since we've been watching it, we've never seen it.
Yeah, well, they probably don't want to make any more screw-ups like that one. That was beyond belief. The moon just jumping up and down and left and right. It's like, all righty then. Yeah, and plus the moon I think would be a lot harder to fake than just this blinding light. That's the sun. Because obviously, from that perspective, you would have to see a different side of the moon, right? From that high up.
I would, yeah, yeah. I don't get. Well, you mean in an ISS video where they're on a ball?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you had a perspective that was elevated 225 miles, you would think that you would start seeing more of the top part of the quote unquote sphere of the moon.
But
yeah, you certainly think so, but it's always way out there. Like it's so fake.
You want to know what is even just as suspicious? If you go to timeanddate.com and you go to their map, they've got like a day map or daytime map or whatever. On that map, you will see the sun and the moon together on there. You go to the ISS map, you have the sun, no moon. It won't even show you where it's at.
That's interesting. I don't know if you guys have seen this. Have you seen that guy that supposedly had his kids kidnapped because he believed in the flat Earth?
No.
There's some guy, he's like a pastor, and he actually has a video out that he shows his kids getting taken away in some Lexus by a bunch of cops. And at first I was like, felt really bad for him. Not that I don't feel bad for him, I do feel bad for him. But I was like ready to do something like, what is going on here? Well, then I start watching his videos, and in every video, he goes outside during the day and shows the moon in the sky, and then shows the sun in the sky, and talks about how the Earth is flat because you can see both the sun and moon during the day, which is impossible. And like every video he makes, I'm like, what is going on here? How does this? I mean, it was like, can somebody please tell him that that's not proof? Like it's the only thing he talks about. He just goes out and says, this is clearly God's green Earth because how can the moon be in the same sky as the sun during the day? It's impossible, and the Earth is flat because of it. It's like, I wanted to call him and say, like, let me give you some other things you can talk about. Because that's the worst evidence I've heard.
Yeah, that's weird. God, I wonder, was there any news story relating to that?
Yeah, I found it online, and you can also find there's some guy, and they call him, what do they call him? Like a police activist or something. The guy that's doing the work for him. Like anti-police. There's like some guy that's like anti-police who was at a city council meeting, trying to ask for information on this guy's kids that got kidnapped, and the city council sits there and tells him, no, we're not giving you any information. We don't have to answer to you. It's an interesting story. I just saw it the day before yesterday, so I haven't had a chance to look into it much, but I did see all his videos, and every one of them is the Earth is flat because the sun and moon can both be out during the day. There's another video where he says, here the moon was seen in Africa at 11 o'clock a.m., and then it was seen in New York at 3 o'clock p.m. This is impossible. And it's like, no, it's not. So yeah, it's just kind of upsetting, because, not upsetting for that, I just feel bad for him because he's not making any, that's his big thing, and I don't know, I kept trying to watch all his videos, like, where's he going to explain why this is proof? And the only proof he has is that they're both out during the day, which has happened his whole life, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
So,
very strange.
Very strange. I'll see if I can find the links for that. I'll send it to you so you can look at it, because, yeah, certainly not cool. He's got two kids, like 9 and 5 or something, and basically they took his kids away because they say he is crazy for the claims he's making, and That's why I was going to help him with some better proof. Maybe he could get his kids back.
Yeah. Oh, that's just really bad.
I mean, usually I don't want to say every single time, but usually there's a lot more to the story that's going on.
Absolutely, and that's what I mean by I kept going through his videos. Like I wanted to see more information on it, and that's all the videos he makes. Is he's like a pastor, and he's always dressed up nicely, standing on a street corner with his video showing the sun and moon in the sky.
I'll give you an example. There's a guy, I don't know if he does videos anymore, Spiritually Smart, and he at one time was involved in this church, and then he moved to the Northeast, and then later on there's this guy who was a pastor, and he was kind of like out there discussing, I don't know, conspiracies and all kinds of stuff. And so one day he gets busted by the police, they arrest him. And so this guy, Spiritually Smart, he was going on and on making videos defending this guy, saying they're saying that busting him on like some child stuff. And he's like, there's no way. This guy is a godly man. He's a pastor. I was under his ministry, and there were other people that were going down there to defend him, like other people in, I'll just call it the conspiracy, the truth movement or whatever. They're going down there and try to help support and defend him. Well, what he ended up finding out later was that what was happening is this pastor is famous for saying that once a girl bleeds, that she's old enough to be married. And what he was doing was taking these really young girls and marrying them off to like way older men. And
is that where the saying "old enough to bleed, old enough to braid" comes from?
I had no idea. So this guy was, and he came out, Spiritually Smart, and was saying, because he heard the testimony of, I guess, like some of the mothers and the women that were involved in this ministry, they were saying that he was taking these young girls and marrying them off, and the story that everyone else was told was like these girls were going to stay with some family members or something. So he was really big at defending this guy, to only find out that he had no idea what was really going on behind the scenes.
Interesting. Well, it looks like the ISS, even though it's in broad daylight, it's over the ocean, and they just don't want to show us anything anymore. Yeah, hey, in some parts of the country, it is now the 23rd.
We're all still here.
Yeah, we're all still here. Was CERN supposed to fire up today, or is that tomorrow? Because I remember Dave J was saying, allegedly Dave was saying that it was going to be fired up at the highest power ever.
On the 23rd, right?
I thought it was the 22nd. I mentioned it in the chat earlier, and a bunch of people came back and said it's the 23rd.
Yeah. Okay. So then sometime tomorrow. Well, in some parts of the country, it's after midnight. But yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. It's interesting. Like I said,
let's get Joel Osteen on the show.
Oh my God, no.
I just saw a picture of him.
That guy cracks me up. He's such a...
Oh boy, what a jackass!
I know.
Well, it's such a, I sometimes, I just try so hard for the Lord.
Hey, did you see that? What's his name? Wade Robinson posted on your Facebook 3 hours ago. He said Air Force's X-37 manned a drone shuttle.
Huh?
And there's here. Let me post this in our chat, and Bob can share it. Like, I just saw this, and I'm like, what the hell? Like, is that real? A drone shuttle?
Okay. Did you just post it?
Yeah, I just posted it.
All right. So let me bring this up. All right. Drone shuttle. Air Force's X-37 goes up on a semi-secret mission.
That's the shuttle.
I don't know what the hell that is. That is the goofiest looking airplane I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's like it looks like a drone.
That's NASA's shuttle.
No, but that's a drone.
It's got a V-tail.
Drone wings.
Yeah, the tail configuration difference is a V-tail.
Oh yeah, I see that now.
which that's interesting. Well, I guess it must be a drone. There's no windshield. And you would think though that what is this, like the camera array down here? Where are the cameras at? Let me blow this up a little bit. God, well, they got electrical tape on here. Or...
That looks terrible.
That's crazy looking.
It looks like that same foil tape that they used on Apollo.
Yeah, so this looks red tape.
Well,
and
not
black
the red,
tape.
but like the gold that's going up the sides.
Surely they're not trying to say this is heat shield.
You better not.
That's.
Oh my goodness.
That is goofy looking. Now, the X-37B orbital test vehicle. All right, let's read a little bit more about it here.
The USAF provided details on several civilian experiments aboard the drone shuttle. Why can't we get an experiment on there?
Yeah, no kidding. I've never even seen this. When is this?
This was posted on Jaren's Facebook. There's a video towards the bottom.
Oh, seriously? They got the guys in their spacesuit while it's on the ground?
Yes. Wait, was that a drone getting dropped off by a drone?
Oh, let's see. Let's watch it. Look at that thing fall out of the sky. Look at that. Jesus.
Watch out.
They should have got that Mexican girl on there doing this.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? If Mexican Weather Girl was presenting this, I'd be going, yeah, I believe.
Bob,
that's crazy.
Here, Bob, I'll show you one quick image. It's going into my video I'm almost done with about the Google Loon joke.
I saw a picture on, I think it was Facebook or somewhere today, for the Google Loon, and it was this giant white balloon.
Yeah, there's that one, but they also have this interesting, Bob would be able to tell me what kind of little apparatuses are on this thing. I don't know what they're doing with them, just posting it real quick here. And it's taking an hour. They call it Helios.
Oh boy.
And what was that? They just dropped this thing off the bottom?
That's what it looked like.
At least the space shuttle came off the top.
That's crazy.
So, well, at least that looks better than that stupid little triangle thing that's on that holds the shuttle onto the back of the rocket.
Yes.
Have you ever seen it? And it's got one freaking bolt that holds all that weight on hypersonic speeds. And you got to just laugh at that. And I know it just kills them over at Clues Forum. You know,
Simon's always ridiculous.
Yeah, I know. Simon's always going on about that bolt. It's like, this is the stupidest thing. You know, one bolt to hold all that. You know, the wind shear would be ungodly. So, pretty crazy. Did you post it already, Jaren? Or?
No, I couldn't. It said it was too big, but do you see it on my screen? It might take a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if I see that.
Can you see that?
Their boomerang drone.
Yeah, it's like it's got solar arrays on the top, but then all these little white. I thought Bob would know what are those on.
They're propellers.
See these, Bob?
The propellers in the front.
So that thing just stays up.
Yeah, these obviously they're propellers, but that one thing looked like a little pitot tube, and what the pitot tube does is that it gives you your indicated airspeed.
That's the Loon, but it's going to be taken up with this thing. Is that what you saw?
No, I saw a balloon, a different balloon.
Yep. So this is what. Oh, here's that picture that I saw. Interesting, huh?
Is that the?
Oh, without all the floor. Yeah. Look at it. You talk about missing floors again. It's like, seriously? Are they going to do the same thing to this thing now?
That's what I said. I wouldn't put it past them. It won't be anytime soon, but I guarantee at some point in the future that a plane will take it out because they'll need to go taller.
Yeah, because they're
it was the tallest building when they built the World Trade Center, and then they had to bring it down, and then they built this one, and it's the tallest, and then is it the tallest in the United States now?
I don't know. Well, how high is the Sears Tower? That's in Chicago, right?
Yeah, I thought Sears Tower was 1480 or 1580. I know this is 1776.
Right. But yeah, that's weird. Just like Towers 1 and 2, when they were showing the construction, they showed all those basically no floors. So yeah, we go
And I
from
was
the no
trying to
plane.
see. I couldn't
Yep,
couldn't
so
figure out if
the-
there was any kind of.
World Trade Center, 1776. The Willis Tower is 1450.
Yeah, it's
432
not even.
Park Avenue, 1396.
No, but how about in the United States?
Empire State Building is 1250.
Yeah, it's not even close. Yep. This is the one? Yeah, it's the tallest one again.
Yeah, and then there's that one in Dubai, which is
That's
the
tallest
highest
in
in
the
the
world.
world. Yeah.
But I think this has to do with the distance it can get its radio waves.
Well, that's absolutely true because, like I said, radio waves naturally refract towards the Earth. So obviously, the higher it goes, even on a flat plane, you're going to have more coverage from that distance.
That's insane.
You
This
heard
says,
Colorado.
The tallest building in the world is Burj Khalifa,
Khalifa, yeah.
2,717 feet.
What?
That's what it says.
2,700?
Yeah.
Wow.
Shanghai Tower is 2,073.
It can't be 1,000.
That's over a half mile high. Good God.
That's the Tower of Babel.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
You don't need buildings that tall.
That is crazy. You don't need to be that tall. I mean, there's like nothing good that can come of that when there's area around you.
I bet you get some good flat Earth pictures.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. I do want to go back to that one image we were looking at, the Gigapan, because you said that it was 50 miles that you should be able to see at the most?
So if the ISS is back online, FYI.
No, it's going to be 50 miles to the ground level. If you have any objects that are higher
Oh, got you. Okay.
on the ground, then you'd be able to see further. So from the top of that to the ground, it would be 50 miles. Which I need to find an area that's flat enough to do an experiment to see if I can see further than 3 miles.
Oh, do we have a moon up here on this?
I'm going over there.
Whoa.
What is this?
Coming.
Did you click on Bob? Because I still see you.
What?
There you go.
There we go. All right, up here. Oops.
My thing's in the way.
Is that the moon? You know
Okay.
they're going to cut us off because
So where are we? What is that? Mark this spot right here as the globe's coming towards us.
We are just south of Australia.
Yeah, well, the moon is definitely out in the distance that we're heading towards because, well, I don't want to say in the direction we're going, but the moon has been trailing behind the sun.
By quite a bit, though, right now.
Yeah.
Huh, I gotta go see.
And yet, look at the lighting on it.
Yeah, it's on the
Looks like-
top.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting, Bob, is when we take images of the moon, the light always follows the sun, but only on the path of the dome. Meaning, if the sun is in front of it, then it will be pointed up.
Man. We're losing the moon. We're losing it.
Yeah,
Where'd it go?
It's going up to the
going up.
top.
I
It's
suppose-
rising. It's rising.
I'm just trying to mark this spot here. We'll see if we're supposed to see it there.
Interesting. All right.
Now, see, I mean, this is what I was kind of saying the other day, but if you look at the size of that, now, Bob, let's picture that all of a sudden it's going to fall to Earth. How is that going to get a quarter the size of Earth?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know what? And even at that distance, it should not be that small. There's no way.
No, there's no way. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
It's like
you're
all a
right.
joke.
And that's assuming it is actually the moon we were seeing, which I have no freaking idea. But it just seemed, if that was supposed to be the moon, that was ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen the moon that tiny.
Yep. And
I
then
mean,
we're back to
I
this.
still, I still think, and I don't want to say that that looks anything like Earth. I don't think that that's pictures of Earth. But when I was looking at the beginning at the ISS, it is funny that the path it takes is just a circle on the flat Earth, and it almost appears that if we look at that little path it takes on the globe, it would never be able to come out of that path, right? But if you draw the circles on the flat Earth, then all it's doing is changing its circular path by making basically like a figure eight. So
Right.
it would stay in one circle, and then as it came around the next time, it would just drop into the next circle. And that makes more sense than it having to get all the way across the globe, right?
Yes.
So again, I don't think that the people we see are up in space, but we do get pictures from somewhere.
Yeah.
So I think there's like a high altitude plane that basically hangs around in that, who knows, 100,000 feet range, and
Mm-hmm.
possibly, I mean, but I don't know why. I don't think it would translate to that unless they'd have to totally edit that globe picture, which I think they do. I mean, we see the, like that cut, and obviously the sun wouldn't rise like that, and we also don't think that looks anything like a sunrise. It always looks like a light.
Yeah.
Just could
And,
be super faked.
and edited as being nice, Sharon. I mean, it's flat out fabricated.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. It's like why would you? Yeah, it's just baffling to me they go through all that trouble for their little shitty show.
Yeah, somebody made a comment in the chat about a camera lens shutter and the black styrofoam style insulation that looks like dust slash bubbles. So I guess he's saying that the bubbles or the things that we're perceiving as bubbles, he's claiming is part of the styrofoam insulation.
You said
That's a stretch.
you said we were heading towards Australia, right?
Yeah, let's see where we are here.
Are we?
I was just going to look at
Oops.
the
We
moon.
are, well, actually, Australia is off toward the north. So chances are we're not going to see diddly. Let's see what the other feed looks like. Oh, that one again. Bzz. So anyway, what time is it? Oh, geez, we're coming up on 3.5 hours again. How do we do that?
So let's see. The moon right now is it's west of South America and south of Alaska.
So that couldn't have been the moon.
No, you're right. It could not have been. Not at all. Well, and I believe that too because it's way too small. So whatever it was, I mean, maybe it's Venus or something. I don't know. Very strange. All right.
I'm just checking out the moon here before I sign off, but trying to see.
Gonna be coming up over the horizon.
Yep. By the way, hi, Missa.
Bob said hi.
Hi, Bob.
Were you able to save that that moon on the Ustream, Jaron?
It'll be saved. I told you I've never seen them cut something out. So that
No,
picture will forever be there.
I mean, did you like add a shortcut to it?
The one I saw dancing around? What are you talking about?
You know how when you go through the videos and you can see where people have those little shortcuts they created?
Right.
Did you create one of those?
No, I don't even know how they do that.
Oh, yeah, because I don't either.
I think you have to have an account with them first of all.
I do remember in the, when I first started watching those 6 months ago, there was a little button that said create highlight, and I just never used it. But now I see people making them, but I don't ever see that button anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. Gosh, what else was I going to say? One other thing. Brain cramp.
And if the moon isn't even above our horizon.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so yeah, good show, guys. We done yet? Yeah, we're
done.
pretty close to done. Yeah.
You're free to leave at any time. There's no arrest policy.
Yeah.
You must stay on this video till we say we're done. We were just all playing around looking at things here. I was trying to see so the moon was kind of, it was kind of out in the Pacific then, from time and date.
Yeah.
So could have been. I'm going to kind of do some more looking at that, and because that was weird looking.
Because the ISS is headed towards the moon's direction.
Can you flip to the map for me again? Who's got their screen up? TJ?
You mean the day and night world?
No, I wanted to see this map to see. Oh, so it is heading right towards the moon.
Yeah.
Like right there.
Yep. Oh, Jaron, have you heard anything from our friend in Seattle?
We're supposed to Skype tonight as soon as I'm done with this show, which was supposed to be at 8 o'clock. So I'm very punctual.
Yes.
Don't
Well,
ask us to be anywhere on time.
maybe he's listening. If so, sorry about that. But
I'll get to you in a second.
yeah.
He knew that I was going to do the show and we were going to talk after. So I think that we're all good though on that date. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, then firm it up. Let us know. We'll book the flight, and that should be very interesting.
We'll see you on the West Coast.
Yes. Yes. Go out and see my son out there in Seattle.
Yeah, we get to see Melissa's brothers up there as well. So.
Yay!
Gonna
Yay.
kill a lot of birds with
the one stone. You betcha. And I love Seattle too. I mean, that's just one of my favorite places to go.
I was there, I think in 2000, Seattle. It was part of I have a funny past. I used to go to WrestleMania every year for 5 years in a row, which I look back at now and love that I did that because it was like the only real traveling I've ever done. And it was just something that me and a bunch of buddies did for 5 years in a row. But I went to Anaheim was the first one, Houston, Toronto, Seattle, New York, and then I grew up.
Yep. Alrighty then.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Appreciate it a lot. This is Jeranism and the ISS Live. We'll see. We might be talking this week and trying to figure out if we're going to continue doing this show or maybe just kind of make it a all-encompassing show where we'll do a lot of different things because the ISS is getting kind of, to me, I don't think they're doing anything different. They're not doing anything new, and I don't think they're going to do anything exciting.
Yeah, and yet you notice that it's got some of the highest hit counts of all of our videos.
Has it been?
Yeah, it does much better than the Globebusters show on Monday nights.
Yeah, I did notice that. But yeah, maybe our people are enjoying us watching it. Just to me, it just seems like it's the same thing. But
you know what we should do?
Stuff,
we should just watch some different stuff.
Yeah,
I like that too. I like that idea too. And
as
that
long
allows
as we
me
don't
to
get
go
a strike.
Yeah, maybe I'll look into how that works because there's also an app over here in the little sidebar for me that I can pull up a YouTube app, which it just says watch apps with. Actually, I'll just play with it real quick while we're here. See what happens when I do it. Because I said, why do they allow you to watch YouTube videos through here if it's not allowed?
Well, yeah, because remember that one, I think, what was it, the Jose Escamilla that got blocked in certain countries? Was it because of that video, or did they tell you which one?
Yeah, it was the one with the when you were doing the vibration.
Oh, that one, the cymatics one. Okay.
Yeah. So it says, welcome to YouTube and Hangouts. Some things to remember. Everyone sees the same video and playlist, so adding and skipping videos will affect everyone. Only you see your search queries and results. Have fun and remember you can share the playlist you've created with friends when you're done with the Hangout. Well, that sounds awesome, but how are you supposed to know what you can't play? Can you guys see that?
Let me see. Let me flip over to you.
See what?
Oops.
No, I don't know.
No.
I thought that. Oops, let me pull it back up.
Yeah, I didn't see anything.
Okay, maybe it's just me that can do it. Hold on, let me try and put in a search query here.
Yeah, because the live feed is still showing my screen on the ISS.
It says push to talk. Your mic is muted. No, it's not.
Nope, it's definitely not. I hear you.
I don't. Oh, add videos to playlist. Okay, you don't even see an area over here on the right that you can add videos to playlist.
No, that's
all I
just
see
you.
is your icon.
That's just me.
Yeah.
Let me see. Okay, let me try something. That'd be cool if it works that way. I just can't believe they would let you do that if they have problems with you playing videos that have content. Let's see here. So I just add this.
I have to wonder. I was thinking of Wake the Sheep. I'll watch the 3-minute video I just put up 2 minutes ago about the Pope murder, rape, and human trafficking. Okay, Wake the Sheeple said that. Wait, I will check that out, Wake the Sheeple, for sure. In fact, I watch your stuff anyway, so yeah, for sure. Anyway, I was.
Oh, you played that. You played that video and I paused it. I'm like, why does that keep playing?
Where is it playing?
You didn't hear that video playing?
No, I'm confused.
Do you see that video?
Yeah, but you guys said you couldn't see it.
No, well, I started the YouTube app. See,
So did I.
Yeah, and it's still the live feed is still my screen, so I don't know what's going on.
Let me try and switch here. All right, we'll play with this some other time so everybody can go.
Yeah.
Guys, reminding you to take care of each other and don't lie to each other and be honest and keep a good attitude and all that fun stuff and open your mind. There's truth inside. We'll see you next Monday with Robert Sungenis. Should be interesting. Bob, any final words?
Nope, just looking forward to the show next week. I got a bone up on my geocentric theory.
As if we're not already confused enough, you know?
Yeah, I know. Because honestly, what I have looked at that so far just boggles my mind.
Yeah, it just throws you for a loop.
Yep. So thanks for coming and watching, everybody, and listening, and we will catch you next week.
TJ, any final words?
Just have a good night, and if there are any other video topics you'd like us to take a look at and cover, whatever, then let us know.
Yep, I'm gonna jump over to the Jeranism chat for a few minutes. So if anybody has any questions for me, you can head over there, or if you have a suggestion for the show, also head over there and you can let me know. And we will see you guys Monday. Peace.
All right. Peace.